Men's Clinic. If you don't perform, you don't pay. Call the Indianapolis Men's Clinic at 999-9000, 999-9000. I'm Dan Levy with Traffic on the Fives. Follow us on Twitter at WIBC Traffic.
Hi, I'm Arielle Winter. If you're anything like me, your pets are not only your best friends, they're part of your family. American Humane, which has been rescuing animals like Cleo here for more than 100 years, has life-saving tips that can make a big difference in a disaster. When disaster strikes, you want to protect your whole family, including your pets. To help keep your family safe and help our best friends in their worst times, find tips at AmericanHumane.org.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
The forecast from the American Standard Cooling Weather Center.
A few areas of fog this morning. Otherwise, we are partly cloudy and humid. Today's high 87. Tonight, partly cloudy, quiet, and muggy. A low down to 66. I'm Wish TV Storm Track A meteorologist Marcus Bailey for 93 WIBC.
70 degrees, a clear radar, and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Oh, happy day, Casey. oh, happy day.
Are you ready to take a victory lap?
Well, it's as though, I don't know what time this article came out this morning, but whatever it was, let's just say for the sake of brevity, 8 a.m., the Indiana Capital Chronicle was like, here, Rob, here's a giant Christmas present in June.
And I was so excited to tell you about it. You've been asking for, I don't know, months now. When is somebody going to ask Eric Holcomb about his relationship with Jamie Knoll? And lo and behold, the Indiana Capital Chronicle heard you and asked him. And his answer, that he is shocked, stunned, and surprised by the allegations against Jamie Knoll.
Okay, so we were not going to lead the show with this, but the Indiana Capital Chronicle has done a phenomenal job on detailing the life and times of Jamie Knoll and all of these super high-profile, very powerful political people that he was intricately connected with. And oh my gosh, look, people can say whatever they want. There's people on this station that are critical of the Capital Chronicle, but whether it's this or the Gabe Whitley stuff, time and time again with their reporting, they are willing to go places and do things that other people are not willing to do. And Casey Smith, I think, is going to be with us tomorrow, who wrote the piece to talk about this. This is amazing. And Casey, everything I've been telling you for the past, what has it been, 6 months, whatever it's been now, is it not detailed in this piece? Was I not exactly right? Do the photos not exist of Holcomb and Knoll and the closeness and way more than just, hey, we knew each other politically. Everything I said about this guy and his relationship with Holcomb, is it not right here?
It is right there. And I think the very first sentence sums it up the best. The list of Hoosier politicos with ties to the former Clark County Sheriff Jamie Knoll spreads deep and wide.
All right, so let's kind of reset this for everybody. And again, wait till noon to read this because we don't care what you do during Cats. But at some point today, say, I'm going over to Indiana Capital Chronicle and I'm going to read this piece on Jamie Knoll because I just feel like I've been vindicated, Casey.
Yeah.
And kudos to the Capital Chronicle. It's all in this piece. Everything I've been telling you for the past 6 months is right here. And so just a reminder again on who Jamie Knoll actually is. Jamie Knoll is the former sheriff of Clark County, which is Jeffersonville. He was, at one point, part of the Central Committee for the Indiana Republican Party, which makes him one of the probably 20 most powerful Republicans in the state. He was a reality television show star. He was a star of a show called 60 Days In, I think was the name of it, where they went to the A&E, I think was the network, went to the Clark County jail. They got permission from him, and they put these regular people in the Clark County jail as undercover operatives with hidden cameras. But what was probably most important about Jamie Knoll, and it was the thing that got talked about the least, is that he was arguably best friends with Governor Eric Holcomb and arguably Eric Holcomb's closest political ally. And I'm not talking about like they were just political friends. Like I was saying there are photos that many of them had been scrubbed off the internet of these guys at social events, of Holcomb engaging in stuff with Noel's daughter. I mean, it's not like, well, we just kind of maybe knew each other. No, these guys were amigos. They were palskis, the bestest of friends. And so when all this stuff starts coming out about Jamie Noel, where he had allegedly, still at this point, committed all these just horrific, heinous acts and abuses of power and authority related to positions he held both as a sheriff and with this volunteer fire department, I kept asking the question, how is it possible that a guy was allegedly living millions of dollars above his means and his closest friend in the entire world, arguably, and one of his closest political allies, the governor, could not have known that this was going on?
Well, and to date, Jamie Noel faces 24 felony charges, including theft, ghost employment, official misconduct, and tax evasion, all involving more than $4 million in questionable spending. And Governor Holcomb's response is that he was shocked, stunned, and surprised by the allegations. But it's not even just Holcomb. It goes to Mike Pence.
But time out. Let's go back to this. Do we have the exact quote? Because he didn't talk to them directly, right? Like they issued some sort of statement.
I do have the direct quote.
Okay, can you read that?
Yeah.
Because I think that's very important to make sure we are accurate on what the Capitol Chronicle printed.
Over the years, Jamie Noel and I devoted much time and energy to growing the Republican Party and the principles it stands for from a local, state, and national perspective. This was in a written statement.
Yeah.
That was his only correspondence with the Indiana Capitol Chronicle.
But he claimed, what did he say about not knowing what was going on?
He said, let's see, at no time did he utter one unethical word to me, nor was I aware of the accusations he's now facing in court. To say the least, I was shocked, stunned, and surprised. Beyond that, I won't be commenting further.
Okay, so let's stop with that because that's really important. So Jamie Noel, by all accounts, was not a rich person, right? I mean, I don't know what his exact wealth was had he lived a normal above-board lifestyle. But by all accounts, this is not Bill Gates. This is not Jeff Bezos. This is a middle-class person. So as you're driving down the road right now, I want you to play this out in your head about what the governor said. If your best friend was a middle-class person living a middle-class lifestyle, and suddenly there's all sorts of high-priced cars or fancy suits or other houses, or the wife has been implicated in this. She was living allegedly well above her means. The daughter is implicated in this. Didn't she have isn't there a home associated with this? If all of these things are happening with your best friend who's living a middle-class existence, wouldn't you stop and go at some point, hey, Harold, hey, Fred?
How is that happening?
Right.
Did he make some really smart investments? What's going on?
And you're led to believe that the governor, with infinite resources at his disposal, up to and including the Indiana State Police, just goes, me have no idea what happened here. Me so shocked, my best friend living millions of dollars above his life. Get lost. Get lost. And I hope now that the Capitol Chronicle, because remember for months we were begging people going, somebody look into this guy.
Somebody ask the governor.
Somebody do the work. That now that the Capitol Chronicle has done the work, that somebody that has more power than the Capitol Chronicle will suddenly go to the governor and go, what did you know? Because the average person is saying that's bull crap. That you didn't know who knows to what extent he knew, but the average person is going, that's bullcrap, that your best friend was living this lavish lifestyle. There's no plausible reason he should have been living this lavish lifestyle, and you just had no idea what was going on.
He said he's not going to be commenting further, and he's going to let the legal process play out.
I bet he's not.
And there are photos with him and Eric Holcomb. They're locked arm in arm, but it's not just Eric Holcomb. It also goes to Mike Pence and Trey Hollingsworth and a few other people, all listed in this article.
Jamie Noel was one of the most connected, powerful Republicans in the entire state. And what amazes me, because maybe people didn't know to the extent of the crap that guy was pulling, but everybody knew there was something going on because everybody knew about the child he had out of wedlock. And yet everybody knew there was this stuff going on behind the scenes. And because he was buddies with the right people, everybody just turned a blind eye to everything. Everybody just said, well, it's Noel and he's powerful and he's connected, and nobody did anything about it.
Yep.
And now the stuff that they are uncovering, once they finally started digging, which you've got to ask yourself, because I don't think because supposedly, what happens here is this new sheriff comes in. What we're led to believe is all of these things have been going on for years and years and years. And nobody says, hey, somebody should look at that. The guy living millions of dollars above his lifestyle. But this new sheriff comes in, and magically, he's just poring over some books, and he catches this potential ghost employment, and going, ooh, we should really. And then the state police dig. Bull crap. People knew what Noel was. People maybe not to the extent, but they knew something was going on. And I think a reasonable person would raise a red flag on that and go, why'd you catch him now?
What's
what
going on?
Changed?
The state's police investigation is ongoing, and it continues to be one of the largest in the agency's history. One of the largest in history, but the governor is shocked and stunned.
The governor who had the authority to shut the entire state down, the governor who weaponized law enforcement, or was willing to weaponize law enforcement and the powers of government against people to keep you from going to church, to keep you from going to the gymnasium, that if you weren't wearing a mask in a grocery store, he was gun-ho and all over that. But when his best friend was allegedly living millions of dollars above his lifestyle, me know nothing. Me so surprised, Casey. Me shocked and stunned.
Well, you got to wonder, because, there's talk about all of these millions of taxpayer dollars, which was spent on cars and planes and vacation and clothing and other luxury items. I mean, more than $50,000 was spent on cigars alone, $183,000 on custom suits. You're a bro. You're standing around with your friend. You're having a cocktail, and he's like, oh, yeah, let me tell you about this vacation we just went on. Doesn't that send off some sort of alarm to you? The guy had at least 40 cars that were confiscated by law enforcement. Classic cars, a 1959 Corvette, 1966 Charger.
But Casey,
aren't you talking about your cars and your, oh yeah, my classic Vet over here. What color is it? Hey, how'd you stumble across that? Would you get that in an auction? Where'd that come from? In normal conversation, you'd think it would come up.
I'm picturing Holcomb being like Dr. Evil with his hands upside down and going, hopefully the people with authority will keep digging on what the governor knew. Phenomenal job by the Indiana Capitol Chronicle on this piece on Jamie Noel. A+ job to Casey Smith. I think we're going to have her on tomorrow again to talk about this. This was everything I'd been begging for. This is wonderful. And Casey, today I stand before you at 9:17 in the morning, as usual, totally vindicated and completely right.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC.
Life's certainties. Taxes.
We'll take that. And that's all I had left.
Death. And Indianapolis traffic.
Hey, hon, where are you?
Now, sitting on the northeast side, I'm never coming home.
Do less sitting.
I hate traffic.
And do more living.
A long-term ramp closure.
Matt Baird traffic.
Eastbound 465 will be down to one lane. Should reopen
mornings and afternoons.
Lane restrictions on the northeast side.
On 93 WIBC.
Transform your home with Galaxy Concrete Coatings. Say goodbye to cracked, stained floors and hello to durable, stunning surfaces that last. Their cutting-edge technology ensures a beautiful finish every time, and you get to pick out from their many colors. Upgrade your home today like I did. Galaxy Concrete Coatings. They're for garage floors, driveways, pool decks, and patios. They come with a lifetime warranty and one-day professional installation. Call now for a free estimate. 877-417-0635. They're also online at galaxyconcretecoatings.com.
Whatever happened to Tony Horton, the guy who created the revolutionary P90X?
2017, I was knocked down. A very rare type of shingles that went straight into my brain. My body was completely wasting away. I started researching everything related to building my muscle back again. That's when I learned about the potential of HMB plus vitamin D3 and what they can do when it comes to helping build new muscle.
So Tony developed high-impact protein by Power Life.
Just add 1 scoop of high-impact protein to a glass of water or your morning smoothie and enjoy the effects of that boss molecule and factory worker combination. reshaping your body each and every day. More energy, burn more fat, and probably drop a few pounds along the way.
High Impact Protein by Power Life is a tasty once-a-day powder that comes in either whey or plant protein. Go to mypowerlife.com and use code TONE to save 30%. Tony even offers a 90-day guarantee. Go to mypowerlife.com or text TONE to 511-511. Text TONE to 511-511 today. All individuals are unique. Your results can and will vary. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
So I came to Advent because I was experiencing recurrent sinus infections. As a new mom, it was really kind of difficult.
Many of our patients complain of sinus infections. The headaches, fatigue, and nasal stuffiness have a profound effect on their lives.
I just felt like your sickness starts affecting your energy level and, the things that you really enjoy doing. That really was a breaking point for me.
So Molly came to Advent. Abnormally tight sinuses and swollen turbinates led to simple breathing triangle solutions that ended up taking about 20 minutes in office. And very soon thereafter, she was breathing freely.
I'm just in awe at the amount of air that, that I'm able to breathe in and out each night. And I haven't had a sinus infection since the procedure.
I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. When you breathe well, you do live better.
Results may vary.
The doctor's office that accidentally mixed up your files has your social security number. The power company that mistakenly cut your service has your payment info. And the hotel that lost your reservation has your passport number. You need LifeLock because your personal info is in endless places that can expose you to identity thieves. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Save up to 40% with promo code NEWS at LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
Diamonds Direct has done it again. This month only, get ready for an offer you can't resist. Buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. That's right, a stunning diamond tennis bracelet at no extra cost. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. So hurry into Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet will not last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
If you're looking for the most epic place on Earth, let's start at the base of a massive waterfall. Then trek through the thick jungle. Then climb to the peak of a snowy mountaintop. Then once you get there, keep going. Because with intelligent 4x4 and 7 drive modes and a Nissan Pathfinder, the search is the real adventure.
Available feature. Intelligent 4x4 cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
So if Caitlin Clark ever makes it into the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, perhaps she can thank Kennedy Carter during her induction speech. Carter took a cheap shot at her during the third quarter in Saturday's game between the Indiana Fever and the Chicago Sky. Have you ever seen an entity try to hurt itself more than the WNBA is right now?
Well, it's over. They've already blown it. I mean, it is amazing to me, the selfishness, the pettiness, and I mean, quite frankly, the hatred. These women in the WNBA have allowed their hatred for Caitlin Clark to totally screw the pooch, kill the golden goose, whatever phraseology you want, because this thing's over. And here's what I mean by this, is when you have a niche sport, which women's basketball certainly is, there has never been a period where women's basketball at a professional level has ever captivated the American consciousness or attention, or I mean, let's face it, it has been a charity case of the National Basketball Association, the owners primarily of the National Basketball Association, out of political correctness or whatever. They felt some sense of obligation to flood these teams with cash because it's a financial boondoggle because people don't care. And women's basketball, professional basketball, was handed this incredible gift with Caitlin Clark. And for a bevy of reasons, which we can get into theories if you want, but for a bevy of reasons, these women in this league and the people who make up the league and society in general, the left I'm talking about, is so petty and so, I mean, they're basically just miserable people that they would rather see the golden goose fail and the league in general fail, then her succeed and everybody be lifted if it's done on the back of Caitlin Clark.
If I were her, I would totally bail on them when my contract was done.
Well,
because at this point, it seems like it's going to escalate to real violence.
Well, because it's not even just the people who are playing her. It's one thing, hey, everybody's competitive, everybody, whatever. It's out and out hate from the people who are playing her. But her own teammates don't seem to care at all either.
Right.
How in the world, when she gets just roasted from behind, it's not like, oh, that was a hard foul, or boy, they're really guarding her tough, or that was just a blatant, dirty play in that ball game. And nobody from her team tried to help her. Nobody from her team clotheslined the player who did it. I mean, it was just unbelievable to watch that happen. Just take away that it's Caitlin Clark. To watch that play happen to anybody on your team and there be no retribution whatsoever, you're just watching this going, they want her to fail. Her teammates clearly hate her as much as the rest of the league does, because how do you not help your teammate?
At this point, it just seems like it's all just pure jealousy and vindictiveness. And for so long, people made fun of the WNBA. Now people are finally talking about them and watching them. And what Carter did to her, there was no finesse there. That was just a bull in a china shop move. That's all that was.
But here's the problem, and you can take this all back to political correctness in the society we live in. What these players have figured out, because I thought about this a lot this weekend. These women have figured out that because of, again, whatever term you want to use, the NBA owners have said, we will not allow this league to ever fail. And fail in the sense of it is a failure. The WNBA is a failure. But they will not allow it to fail in the sense of we won't allow it to go under. So these women have recognized no matter what we do or how unexciting or uninviting the play on the floor is, we can't go out of business. We can't lose our jobs in the sense of there will not be a WNBA. So what incentive do we actually have if we're that spiteful as human beings, which they clearly are? What incentive do they have to let her succeed? And I don't mean let her succeed in the sense of let her score points, but create an environment by which she is the focal point of the league. There's none. They have no incentive to want her to do well, or the league has no incentive to want her to do well, or the players in it.
Because they know the NBA is just going to keep funneling money towards it.
It's the rich parent syndrome. They're a subsidy machine. They know the rich parent will always bail them out no matter what happens. And so thus, they hate her. Again, we can get into later in the show what those reasons might be. But the reality is this train is leaving the station rapidly because you had a finite window by which people were interested in the final score of that game was 71-70. It's boring. They miss layups. It's bad basketball. The only remotely compelling reason to watch women's basketball right now is her. And they're making it unwatchable based on the way she's being 71-70 in a pro game, Casey. What is this, 1954? Are we still using peach hoops to shoot the ball? Are we still jumping the ball at the end of every made basket? Are we still wearing belt buckles around our pants? 71-70. Nobody's watching that. She's the only reason people are watching.
I would love to hear her talk about it, but she won't. She has the most and, in fact, the least to lose by saying something.
And this is why I said the only way this was going to work. Boy, 2 for 2, Casey, to start the day. Noel and now this. The only way this was going to work, and I said it wasn't going to work because her personality, and it's a tribute to her. She seems like a very decent, good human being. The only way this was going to work is if she took the league on her shoulders as a villain and said, I will enter every arena as a villain, I will enter every game as a villain, and I will embrace the pettiness and jealousy that you people have for me, and I will exploit it and make fun of it, and I will carry it on my shoulders. She isn't wired that way. She's wired to be a decent human being. She's wired to be a basketball machine, and she doesn't have the personality to deal with what's in front of her, because she's never had to deal with that before.
Well, and she's not getting any backup from her teammates either, so she's not going to go it alone. If I were her, I would have my PR team make a video of all the aggression placed on me, and then I'd release it as I was announcing I'm leaving the league and going to the 3v3.
Well, you're right, Casey. Somebody's going to have to do something because she's going to get seriously injured, and when you don't even have your own teammates I think that's what's most frustrating to a lot of people, is that there was not a bench-clearing brawl after that happened, because that is your teammate who wasn't, it wasn't some hard foul. It wasn't some tough-nosed play. It wasn't, you might have got a little rough there. That was dirty, and it was blatant, and nobody stood up for her. All right, hey, we got to take a break.
Yep.
When we come back, there is so much drama going on in the Republican Party right now, especially as it relates to this lieutenant governor's race. The convention's around the corner. It's getting dirty. It's getting nasty, and you won't believe what they're trying to do to some Micah Beckwith voters in Evansville.
We'll get into it coming up on 93 WIBC.
Easy Cater. 100,000 restaurants, one platform. Whether you need food for catered meetings or company events, Easy Cater has everything to make food for work, work. Seriously, it's all right here in one place. Coffee, snacks, breakfast, daily employee lunches, you name it. Whether you run a nonprofit or a company with offices nationwide, we've got you covered. Anywhere work happens, Easy Cater has everything you need to make food for work, work. Order 24/7 at easycater.com.
I'm a grandson, a son, I'm an employee and a mentor. I'm a father to 2 beautiful kids and a husband to an amazing wife. And I have a substance use disorder. In other words, I'm living in recovery with an addiction. And now that you know, will you let it change how you see me? It's okay to see my addiction, but I want you to know it's people choosing to see me as a person that changed my life.
See the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
From one trial to another, radar is clear. It's 72 and sunny downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 9:30. Jury selection expected to start today in Delaware in the federal firearms case against Hunter Biden. He's accused of illegally buying and possessing a gun while being addicted to drugs in 2018. It marks the first time in the U.S. history the child of a sitting president has gone on trial. Hunter Biden has pleaded not guilty. Pressure mounting on Israel to consider a ceasefire deal proposed by the Biden administration. Fox's Jared Halpern.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken told Israeli Minister Benny Gantz, a member of the country's war cabinet, a ceasefire proposal would advance Israel's long-term security interest and unlock the possibility of calm along Israel's border with Lebanon. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing pressure from both ends of his coalition government about the deal, with 2 right-wing members threatening to topple the government if the deal is accepted. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
An Ohio billionaire plans to take a submarine down to the remains of the Titanic. Larry Connor and Triton Submarines co-founder Patrick Leahy intend to pilot a small craft to show that it can be done safely. It has been nearly a year since the Ocean Gate submersible imploded near the wreck, killing 5 people. Your opening bell report on 93 WIBC, brought to you by Absolute Wealth Management, LLC. A mixed bag to start the day. The Dow was off 2 at the opening bell to 38,793. The NASDAQ is up 113 points to 18,704. And the S&P 500 is up 14 to 5,310. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
1 point, 1 swing, 1 tackle, 1 step. One trusted hospital system for orthopedic care. Franciscan Health's orthopedic, sports medicine, and rehabilitation teams offer state-of-the-art treatments, including total joint replacement, physical therapy, and the latest techniques and interventions for a variety of conditions, including arthritis and orthopedic sports-related injuries, keeping you in step, 1 step at a time. Find a full range of orthopedic care in one place. Go to franciscanhealth.org/orthocare.
Hey, it's more important than ever to hire the right agent to sell your home to maximize its sales price. That's why I recommend Mark Deedle. Mark and his team have the plan and experience to sell your home for maximum cash. Maybe you're worried about costly repairs or upgrades to sell your home. Mark Deedle guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. Listen to what Dan and Casey in Indianapolis had to say about working with Mark Deedle. We were ready to downsize, and we needed to sell quickly. To make it all work, we needed to get a great price fast, of course. Mark Deedle made it happen. We got our asking price without any repairs or an appraisal. The Mark Deedle team delivered exactly what we needed. Call the local Indianapolis agent I trust and recommend, and the agent who guarantees your home sold, or he'll buy it. Call Mark Deedle at 317-755-4232 for all the details, or go online to markdeedle.com. That's Mark, DIETEL.com.
I had changed the locks. Didn't even know where she was living.
And then one night she calls to say she's getting treatment. Can I drive? I almost hung up. But then I thought, that's my kid. I chose to put away the hurt and the fear and just see my girl.
Addiction is a disease. Standing by a loved one as they fight it will test your faith, patience, and sanity. But it's possible when you see the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
If you live in central Indiana, you probably use, work, or live near I-70 and I-65 within the I-465 loop. And chances are, you have an opinion on how those interstates could be improved. If so, Propel Indy wants to hear from you. Propel Indy is an opportunity for you to envision the future of Indy's urban interstates. Central Indiana is home to a world-class transportation system that links businesses, neighborhoods, and attractions together. But most interstates inside the I-465 loop were built more than 40 years ago and will need to be modernized for Indy's continued growth. With your feedback, Propel Indy will gain a greater understanding of community needs and ideas for improvement. Whether you live in a neighborhood near I-70, use I-65 for your daily commute, or attend events downtown, Propel Indy wants to hear from you. Share your ideas at propelindy.com. You can help propel Indy towards a more transformative tomorrow with a bold vision to modernize Indy's interstates and enhance the community for generations to come. Learn more at propelindy.com.
'93 WIBC, it is the Kendall and Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here, and oh my gosh, Casey, there is so much drama going on in the Republican Party as it relates to this election for lieutenant governor.
Yes, there is, and a lot is happening down in Evansville tonight.
It is the epicenter of it all because now we've got Micah Beckwith elected delegates who they're trying to prevent from showing up to the convention. And one of these people joins us now to help us get to the bottom of all the craziness. His name is Ken Colbert. Ken, what in the world is going on?
Well, we'd like to know, too, because all three of these candidates are being attempted to be censored and put out as if they were Republicans in bad standing, and so there's a lot more to this story. Our group was involved in soliciting all these PCs down here. We got 84 out of the 135, so we had the majority. And now the delegates in Vanderburgh County, we have 46 that have the ability to vote for Micah up in Indianapolis at the convention, and we secured at least half, 23 of these people. I happen to be one of them. And all of a sudden, after the certification of our votes down here by the local election board of all the people, including me and these two other people that are attempted to be censored, they're trying to remove us so that we cannot vote up in Indianapolis for our preferred candidate, Micah Beckwith. It's kind of interesting because recently they had an event where we were not invited, some of the delegates. It was a very private meeting over in an adjacent county in Warwick where Julie was the guest speaker, but they did not invite us because we had lots of questions to ask her, including about that bill of Senate Bill 4 in regards to the health initiative.
Okay, hey, Ken, let me stop you for a second just to make sure I understand you properly. So you and these other people, you ran for delegate like people across the state did. You ran as Republican for delegate. Nobody challenged you. You got enough votes that you and these other people were elected delegate, and now after that's been certified by the Vanderburgh County, and now after that, they're trying to remove you guys from being able to be delegates even though you've been certified.
That is correct. And we've been looking at the state law and the regulations and the Republican platform, all of this, and there's nothing that we can determine that is causing this other than the fact that my perception that this is election interference where they're attempting to remove candidates that openly are supporting Micah Beckwith over the other candidate for the lieutenant governor. We think it is on purpose.
Now, Ken, when you say remove, what do you mean?
Well, we're trying to figure that out, too. We're going to figure this out tonight because it says that they want to censor us and say that we are Republicans in bad standing. Now, since this time, our PCs and delegates down here don't want this, trying to remove us. So they literally now have filed complaints using the same procedure that our county chairman, Mike Duckworth, is attempting to use against the three of us. So they're actually filing a complaint to have him removed from his position.
Yeah!
That's where we're at right now. You know, it's becoming very contentious. The gentleman will not listen to us whenever we are elected officials. We are in this capacity, and we're being isolated and not welcomed into the party. We brought in 84 new Republicans, but yet we're Republicans in bad standing. How does that work?
Yeah, Ken Colbert's our guest. We're talking about all this drama going on down in Evansville, and it's in regards to, in large part, the lieutenant governor's race, where now they're trying to get these Micah Beckwith delegates removed. So here is my question to you, Ken. So there's some big brouhaha tonight. What is actually going on? Because you said there's going to be a huge protest. The media down there is going to be involved. What is going on in Vanderburgh County tonight?
Okay, the three of us, it's not a court hearing, but the three of us have been summoned by the 8th District. The woman's name is Brenda Goff, is who it is. She's refused to take our calls, emails, etc. of all this activity going on. She will not interact with us, but yet we got served to say we have to attend these hearings. So the hearings are all back-to-back. They are closed to the public. They will not let the media in, the public, the delegates, the precinct committeemen, none of them. This is private. They will not let us record it. So what I've done is I've created a huge written statement, because we only have 3 minutes to talk, and I'm serving them with my content that I'm also giving to the news media so they can see exactly what's transpiring in that meeting.
Okay, here's what I don't understand, Ken, is, okay, so you ran for delegate, and obviously there's a mechanism to challenge people like John Rust got kicked off the ballot. Nobody challenged you. You got enough votes that you were elected delegate. That election has been certified by the people in Vanderburgh County, right?
Yes, that is correct.
So how are they going to throw you off? If the election board, et cetera, has certified your election, how can some unelected person throw you off the being a delegate?
That's an excellent question, and we don't understand that question. Now, one of the candidates, though, he was challenged, and the election board supported him, and because of that, allowing him to run on the ballot, his name was the guy running for mayor, Michael Daughtery. And the attorney that said, yes, you can do this, a representative of the Republican Party, Mr. Harrison, was then fired by Duckworth a week later, and he appointed...
Who's Duckworth?
Michael Duckworth is the Republican county chairman down here in Vanderburgh County. So he removes the attorney that made the ruling, and he appointed, wait for it, Holly Sullivan, the former Secretary of State's husband, Chad Sullivan, as the attorney.
So basically... So Ken Colbert is our guest. It's about all this drama going on down in Evansville, where basically these what appear to be legally, rightfully elected Micah Beckwith delegates now, the party is trying to throw them off the ballot because they do. Basically what is happening here is it appears the Republicans down there are trying to remove people who might vote for Micah because they don't want Micah. That's the way it appears to me, Ken.
You are correct. That's part of the issue as well. I'm very critical also of my elected officials as a private citizen. I have a very active X channel, and I put out there, whether Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. These people work for us, and they seem to have forgotten that. And so when you question their perceived authority over us, there's always issues.
So basically, Ken, and then I'll let Casey hop in here, if they remove you tonight, they're kind of saying the primary, because I feel like I've missed a piece of the equation, but the more I look into it, it doesn't appear I've missed a piece of the equation, which is basically the primary elections don't even matter. The party can do whatever they want. They're simply using taxpayer money to facilitate their bidding, and if they don't like the result that it gets certified by the election board, they can just change the result of the election.
Well, in their mind, they think they can, but I'm a person that follows the rule of law and the Republican platform, and it's very specific about what they can and cannot do. They are violating our First Amendment right because they're trying to also say that we're talking ill of them. Well, they deserve it because they're not representing us.
I didn't see anywhere where you couldn't talk bad about the Republicans. I'd be executed if that was a law, Casey.
No kidding. So did they give you a heads up what this hearing was about before they served you?
No, it's backwards from what you would normally be involved in court. They're summoning you to an event, and then they say that they'll respond to the violations 24 hours prior. I just got mine this morning, okay? And so I have to respond in a 3-minute dissertation, even though it's pages that I'm going to present in the record. And I'll provide you a copy of that so you get an idea about what is transpiring down here in Evansville. We will be removing Mike Duckworth from his position. We have the majority of the votes. If we can't do it in March of 2025 based upon the Republican platform, and if we may be able to do it sooner if some of the elected PCs down here will jump the ship and do it. We need 90 people. We have 84. We need only 6 more people to vote to oust him immediately.
You know, Ken, one of the things we've said, before I let you go here, Ken Colbert's our guest. He's one of these delegates down in Vanderburgh County who now there's all this drama. They're trying to get them removed from being able to vote for Micah Beckwith at the convention, even though they were elected. You know, one of the things we've said, Ken, about the Micah campaign is he's removing the mask of what the Republican Party is, who these people are. And if this is allowed to go forward, that we're basically saying the elections don't matter, and why would anybody even ever vote if the party can just change things whenever they want it changed? They had a chance to challenge you guys. There's an opportunity to do that. Obviously, people have been kicked off the ballot. They didn't do it. You guys were elected and certified. I don't understand how they could take you off the ballot now.
No, they can't. And we're actually sponsoring. Our group is sponsoring Micah on June the 8th. We've invited 4 of the counties down here: Posey, Vanderburgh, Warwick, and Gibson. We're going to pack the house so that Mike can get his message out here to Southwest Indiana so that we can have a lot more support for Micah than what he anticipates.
All right, so tonight, that's the big hearing. If people are hearing us down in your neck of the woods, what time and where is this thing at?
Well, it's at the Republican headquarters. It's called the Foundry on North Main. We'd love to have people come down for support. We have people out there with signage, et cetera, because they won't let them in the building. The first hearing begins at 5:15. The second one's at 6 p.m., and the third one is at 6:45. So that's this evening at the Foundry on North Main at the Republican headquarters.
Ken, one last question for you. Where do you think this is coming from? Who is spearheading this effort in your mind?
That's speculation in my mind, but...
Go ahead, speculate. That's what we do here.
It doesn't make sense why they're attempting to have election interference. I don't know if this is coming from the Braun camp. I don't know if this is a vendetta by our local county chairman who knows his tenure is coming to a close. It's speculation. We don't know because you're not in the minds of these people, how they feel comfortable in violating our rights. We represent the people. We're elected.
All right, Ken, we'll keep us posted on how it goes, and we appreciate you spending a few minutes with us this morning.
Great. Have a good day, guys.
Yeah, you too. It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel back at it this afternoon, 3:06 p.m. Nobody has more fun in the afternoons than we do. Guy Relford will join us. It's Monday Gun Day. We've got some contests. 93 WIBC.
Close your eyes and picture it. The warm sun on your face. The sound of waves lapping against the shore. What if I told you that feeling of summer relaxation could be yours all year round? At Howard Bailey Financial, we specialize in retirement planning that lets you embrace that summer state of mind every day. Imagine knowing that your future is secure. With our expert advisors, we'll craft a personalized retirement plan tailored to your dreams. Whether it's traveling the world or pursuing your passions, we'll ensure that your retirement is as carefree and fulfilling as a relaxing summer afternoon. Embrace a summer state of mind and text SUMMER to 888-494-5004 to download our complimentary retirement toolkit and experience your retirement planning with confidence.
This endorsement was not provided by a client of Howard Bailey. This individual was compensated for this endorsement. For more information, visit howardbailey.com/TS1.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndieHomebuyer.com. No inspection, no fuss. We only need to see it once. The IndieHomebuyer.com. Problem properties, tenants don't pay. Just hand us some keys and your problems go away. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndieHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash. The IndieHomebuyer.com.
No matter your reason for selling, the IndieHomebuyer.com will pay cash for your house in any condition. If you're dealing with deadbeat tenants, big repairs, or inheritance, the IndieHomebuyer.com is the solution. No hassle, no inspections. The IndieHomebuyer.com.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
My house has a new glow. I love my windows. Universal Windows Direct.
Hey, it's Rob. Right now, schedule your free in-home estimate. And for every 2 windows you buy, you get the next 2 free, plus 0% financing for 36 months. Restrictions apply. Like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
I love my windows. They've got that brand new home effect. Universal Windows Direct.
Because you want to hear bacon and eggs on your outdoor griddle, not the scraping of rust. Introducing the Weber Slate Rust-Resistant Griddle. Stays ready, not rusty, with a carbon steel cooktop, pre-seasoned and ready to cook on right out of the box. The Weber Slate heats evenly edge to edge up to 500 degrees. All you'll hear is the gasp of amazement from friends and family when you serve the food. Cooking with the Weber Slate Rust-Resistant Griddle just sounds delicious and tastes even better.
Addiction. It's hard on those who struggle with it, but those who love the addict need support too. Matt Baer and Ryan Hedrick provide help and hope with Supporting Sobriety. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and on WIBC.com.
On Friday, Jennifer Lopez announced that she was canceling her 24 tour. She was citing her desire to spend more time with her family. However, maybe it's because the arenas just aren't filling up, and that's a trend among all artists.
Yeah, this was a fascinating piece that came out about these different high-profile artists that are either canceling their tours or they are moving them, they're delaying them to smaller venues. And there's a host of theories on this, and maybe it's a little bit of everything. The primary thing that seemed to come out of this article was that it's just too freaking expensive to go to this stuff.
Right. SeatGeek said that the average ticket price for a summer concert is down, but it's down from $257 to $213.
Yeah, so it's not like, but I mean, again, so it's down to what? What's the number again?
$213.
$213. That's a very expensive one if you're going by yourself. Now, keep in mind, are you taking your wife or your husband or your girlfriend or your boyfriend? Okay, now multiply it by 2. Then you got to pay to park. Then you got the food that's there if you're eating out. I mean, very quickly, you're well over a $500 evening out
well,
on
and
the
if
town.
you have young children, you got to have to account for a babysitter in there as well. And then the time and gas it takes to get to the venue.
Yeah, so NBC News, by the way, is the one who had this article. Now, the other theory on this, which is very interesting, is that people have there was a fever pitch for live entertainment in like 2022 and 2023 because people were unable to do it, certainly in 2020 and throughout much of 2021, depending on where you lived. So you were simply unable to do the thing, see your favorite artist, whatever. And so everybody wanted to go out in 2022 and 2023 because they said, well, if the government took it from us once, maybe they'll take it from us again. You better go while you have the opportunity. And now people are maybe simply over that and saying, okay, life is somewhat back to normal. I have all my entertainment options back at my disposal. I can be more choosy about what I choose to spend my money on.
Well, there's not only that, but there's also the idea that there's just not the artists that people want to go see.
Yeah.
They're not pulling them in. So you've got top artists. Obviously, Taylor Swift is commanding whatever price she wants. And then you've got other artists like Olivia Rodrigo, who her average price is $5. Exactly. You'd have to be younger to really appreciate this.
Kev,
$571.
What's her name? Alex Rodrigo?
Olivia Rodrigo. I've heard of her.
Alex Rodriguez?
Olivia. Okay, what about Morgan Wallen?
Who
You've
is
heard of
Olivia
him, right?
Rodrigo?
She's like a pop star. She's Gen Z. She's a little younger.
Okay.
Now you've heard of Morgan Wallen, right?
That's the country guy. guy who threw the stuff off the balcony or the roof.
His average ticket price, $409.
Yeah, okay. So one thing I would say about these ticket prices, it is probably a little misleading because a price of a ticket in Los Angeles, like I'm going to say, I can almost guarantee the average ticket price at Lucas Oil Stadium, which he played very recently, right, was not $400 and whatever dollars. So it does kind of depend on where you live. But even if, let's say, it was $150, and one lady that NBC interviewed in this article was saying, okay, well, the closer seats are simply unaffordable. You're $500 or more. The nosebleeds are $150 or more. I'm not spending $150 to be, up at the top of a building. So
where they're just a speck
right
down
now
there.
I'm in this weird world where it's too expensive for crap. It's too expensive to be close. Like I can't even do that. So I'm just not going to do anything. But it is fascinating that it appears the bloom is off the everyone can charge whatever they want rose on concert tickets that era is passing us by.
Well, when you've got people that are struggling just to pay for your basic necessities, you've got to tighten the belt somewhere. And it turns out that many people are looking at their summer concert entertainment as part of it.
Just an update from something we began the show with, that fabulous article that came out today in the Indiana Capital Chronicle on Jamie Knoll. And it is amazing that they tracked his relationship to the governor, to Pence, to all these high-profile Republicans. It's long and it's spectacular,
Yep.
Casey. Casey Smith, who wrote the piece, is going to be with us tomorrow. We're going to do a deep dive. And I think she has even more to talk about.
Oh, really?
I've been emailing back and forth with her. Yeah, she will be with us tomorrow to go inside all the stuff on Jamie Knoll.
You're listening to Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. Good morning.
Summer weather is finally here, and that means it's time for flip-flops, sandals, and your summer wardrobe. But for some people, it's the season of painful feet. Hi, this is Phoebe with the Good Feet store, and to keep you out of pain and having fun this summer, you need some great support in all those shoes you're wearing. Our patented arch support system has helped countless people find relief from foot, knee, hip, and back pain. Like Dale. Listen to his real Good Feet story.
This planet is so incredibly beautiful that I can't get enough of it. I did 950 miles on the Pacific Crest Trail, and Good Feet was with me all the way. Your passion's important, but if your body aches and if your heel feels like you've got a nail stuck in it and won't come out, trust me, it's going to wear you down. The Good Feet store knew what they were talking about and took the time to really dial in what I needed. I hiked 84 miles in the Himalaya and to do it pain-free. You think I'm not grateful for Good Feet?
So stop in today for your free personalized fitting and test walk and see what the Good Feet store can do for you this summer.
Michaelis presents Password.
The word is basement.
Okay. Wet.
Rain.
Leaky.
Faucet.
Stinky.
Socks.
Moldy.
Underwear.
What? Ugh, it's basement. Really? Moldy underwear?
Well, sometimes.
Ew. I did not need to know that.
Basement waterproofing and French drains. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it. Come on, take your basement back. 844-FIX-INDY.
At Uline, they know firsthand the road to success is an uphill climb. Uline started in the family basement, and through hard work is now North America's most trusted shipping and industrial supplier. They get what it means to have the support of reliable, hard-working partners. So they keep 41,000 items ready to ship. Whether your company is still in a basement office or expanding cross-country, Uline will be there on your road to success. Visit uline.com.
Guys, if you've noticed a lack of energy, motivation, and drive, it could be low T. Be sure to schedule your health assessment at Low T Center. For established patients, they offer the convenience of physician-monitored, self-inject, at-home testosterone treatments with an average payment of $150 a month cash pay, including labs and medication.
If you need the convenience of at-home treatment, Low T Center makes it easy, shipping treatments directly to you. Go to lowtcenter.com right now to book your appointment online. Low T Center, reinventing men's healthcare.
Thinking of popping the question? Diamonds Direct has an offer you can't miss. This month only, buy a natural diamond engagement ring of 1 carat plus and receive a free natural 1 carat diamond tennis bracelet valued at $2,000. Imagine giving her the ring of her dreams and her wedding gift all at once. No one provides education, selection, and value like Diamonds Direct. Your chance to get a free tennis bracelet from your friends at Diamonds Direct won't last long. Details at diamondsdirect.com.
Gold demand is hitting record highs, but supply may not keep up. I'm Dr. Ron Paul, and I believe physical gold is the only way to truly protect your retirement savings from a chaotic world. To learn how to diversify your IRA or 401k into physical precious metals, text the word SHELTER to 989898 for a free info kit on gold IRAs from Birch Gold Group. That's SHELTER to 989898.
Message and data rates may apply.
Coming up in 2 minutes, several shootings throughout Indiana over the weekend, plus why passengers on this plane leaving Indy were delayed on Friday. And it's the end of a tough stretch of the season for the Indiana Fever. So, can they turn it around? I'm Kirk Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recyclers Studios after Fox News Radio. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 10 o'clock.
Questions about COVID. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Dr. Anthony Fauci, the main public face of the federal response to the coronavirus pandemic, is at a House Oversight Committee hearing starting now about the response and COVID-19's origins. New York House Republican Nicole Malliotakis on Fox and Friends First.
Dr. Fauci did not want the public to know what was going on and that there was a lack of transparency.
Michigan House Democrat Debbie Dingell says Republicans running the committee are ignoring the job it's supposed to be doing.
The actual work of preventing and preparing for future pandemics. To lead, instead, what they have done is led a crusade against Dr. Fauci.
Transcripts of closed-door interviews earlier this year were released on Friday. Jury selection's underway for Hunter Biden's federal gun trial. His father says in a statement, "As the president, I don't and won't comment on pending federal cases, but as a dad, I have boundless love for my son, confidence in him, and respect for his strength." First Lady Jill Biden's attending her stepson's trial today in Wilmington, Delaware. Fighting continues between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, with a ceasefire proposal neither accepted nor fully rejected yet.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken told Israeli Minister Benny Gantz, a member of the country's war cabinet, a ceasefire proposal would advance Israel's long-term security interest and unlock the possibility of calm along Israel's border with Lebanon. President Biden announced the contours of a multi-phase ceasefire and hostage release proposal last week that was made by Israel to Hamas. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is facing pressure from both ends of his coalition government about the deal, with two right-wing members threatening to topple the government if the deal is accepted. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Police in Nashua, New Hampshire, have shot and killed a man armed with a handgun in the parking lot of a Lowe's home improvement store. They've not said what led to an officer firing his gun. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Violence upon violence. Radar is clear. It is 74 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:02. Two shootings in Indianapolis overnight. One at an apartment complex on the west side.
Apparently, there'd been a disturbance earlier in the evening between some people.
IMPD Captain Mark McCarty, who says that disturbance escalated into gunshots later on near 16th and the White River. A woman and a man were both hurt. A few hours later, a man was shot in the leg in a separate shooting at a gas station. All three victims alive at the hospital. State police looking into an officer who fired their gun in Anderson on Saturday. Sam Fritz.
Madison County deputies were attempting to serve an arrest warrant on Fairview Street when they came across Latoris Harrison of Indianapolis sitting in his car in the driveway. driveway. Police would ask him to get out of the vehicle, but he refused. At some point during the back and forth, things would escalate and an officer would fire a shot at Harrison, eventually killing him. Detectives know that Harrison had a gun inside his vehicle, as it was later found on the passenger seat. Police were wearing body cameras, and the Indiana State Police are investigating the footage. Sam Fritz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A reminder, 465 southbound is still closed on the southeast side from I-70 to I-65. INDOT doing some patch and maintenance work along the interstate. Traffic being diverted onto I-70 westbound into downtown. Several travelers were late getting where they needed to go on Friday from the Indy airport.
We were literally engines were powering up, ready to take off, and they stopped.
Bill Leschhorn on Wish TV. He says the pilot of his Delta flight had to go back to the gate because a passenger refused to put her carry-on bag in an overhead bin and began shouting at the flight attendants and passengers. Police ended up putting the woman in handcuffs and escorting her off the plane. The scheduling was not ideal this weekend for the Indiana Fever.
2 back-to-backs in 1 week, one against Vegas, one against New York. I mean, this isn't a good matchup for us. It's probably the worst team we could have played on a back-to-back.
Head coach Christie sides, that being the New York Liberty, who pummeled the Fever last night, 104-68. Caitlin Clark, just 3 points, 1 of 10 from behind the arc. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Hi, this is Denny Smith, and I don't think we've had an allergy season before quite like this year. Those carpets are loaded with pollen, dirt, dander, and who knows what else, and it takes a professional to get them clean. How about having Zero Res help you take on all of that with a great summer special? Get 3 rooms Zero Resified starting at just $139 and take 20% off their additional services for a great cleansing. It's kind of scary just how much of the uglies are in our carpets, and it's because those carpets are the largest air filter in the home. The Zero Res service is easy to line up, and you can go online at ZeroResIndy.com to do the scheduling at your convenience. And don't forget the ZR Water difference. No soap, no residue, no harsh chemicals, leaving things really clean. Now mention WIBC, get 3 rooms of carpet cleaning starting at $139, plus you get 20% off their other platinum cleaning systems too. Call 317-388-5141. Book things online at ZeroResIndy.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
So people are fleeing the public school system in Indiana, and we've got a guy who might know why.
Yeah, about tenfold they're fleeing.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the Kendall Casey Show. I'm Rob. Casey's here. And we talked about last week, Casey, that big article in Indiana Capital Chronicle, which detailed the amount of people and the amount of cost associated with parents pulling their kids out of the public school system.
Yeah, you've got the Indiana private school voucher participation rate at a historic boost right now.
So I said, let's try to get to the bottom of what's going on. And as with everything, Casey, we've got a guy, and this guy is totally qualified because, well, he's a public school teacher.
He would know.
Here at a central Indiana suburban school district. His name is Justin Spears. He's also the author of the book, Failure, The History and Results of America's School System. So, Justin, you're in the public school system every single day. You see the things that they're talking about in the Indiana Capital Chronicle. Why are people pulling their kids out of the public school system?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a couple of different things that are going on here. And I would first start off by saying that as an educator, we have to start taking a critical look at how schools operate and perform. Educators are always preaching critical thinking and analysis skills. But yet when it seems to come to schools, that goes by the wayside. It's just kind of dismissed on, lawmakers that get their hands in the pot and mess everything up. But there's very little critical reflection internally of what's going on. And first and foremost, I think there's a culture issue in our schools. I mean, when you look just here in central Indiana, this past school year, we've seen a number of issues. You had the IPS video of the students fighting. You had a Guyan Creek elementary school teacher saying, let them fight at school. The student was a special needs student. You had a Perry Meridian sub who was assaulted, and according to him, nothing was done about that. We just recently, unfortunately, had a student commit suicide, I believe, out in one of our eastern school districts, maybe Greenfield Central, partially due to bullying. And then I still think you have the CRT DEI stuff. that we aren't hearing as much about, that came out post-COVID. And then, even some of the gender issues, those are all things that I think parents are just seeing these things and they're going, what is being done about this? And there's very little to nothing being done.
Justin Spears is our guest. He's a public school teacher here in Central Indiana. He's also author of the book Failure, the History and Results of America's School System. So you're in the classroom every single day, and you're a great educator. You've been an educator for a long time. Do your colleagues recognize that there are all these people leaving the public school system? And if so, what are their thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there is a real, not panic, but a sense and understanding that we're seeing a lot of movement, out of the school systems across the state of Indiana. I mean, obviously, it's catching the attention of, people in the media, and then obviously, I think, you have the reaction from school districts and now opening up their doors to bordering school districts to try to attract people in because the money is bleeding out, and I think that becomes a big issue for them because that's kind of what their focus is on. When you look at, for example, what people like Keith Gamble, who was quoted in that article that you referenced earlier, you can clearly hear and see that what the main focal point is funding the system. And that's the big issue there, right? It's not necessarily the funding of the student, it's the funding of the system. And I'm a big proponent in choice and free will, and I believe the money should follow the child. And, when that money starts fleeing out of the school district, it becomes an issue. And I think that is starting to grab the attention of educators. And I think that, to a person, if when I talk to them, they're very open and honest about these things. But then it's kind of one of those things that, when you're in front of the camera, or you're in front of your other colleagues, then it kind of turns back to pointing the blame at other things.
So the only time it gets attention is when people realize that they're losing money off of this. It seems that the Republican Party's answer has just been constantly to throw more money at the school systems. But as you mentioned, it's more of a culture thing. What is this? Is this a poor vetting process? What is the problem?
Yeah, I think anytime you get, politicians involved, especially at the state level, into trying to come up with solutions, you're never going to get a really great solution. I just think that, again, from my perspective, you have to leave options open at the local level. When you look at what is going on in schools across the state of Indiana, the districts that are in this state, they all face different issues, whether you're talking about here in Central Indiana, suburban, rural, whatever. Those people are going to know what's best for their students. And if we really want to make change in these schools, I think that has to be the first and foremost thing that we see happen is for local school districts to be able to react more to what's going on within their the doors of their schools. Now, I do like, for example, the pathway option, right? I think that's something that the state has done well. I think that's giving people more choices within the boundaries of the school that they're in. But still more needs to be done to allow schools to be able to react more to what's happening and not just throw a pile of cash at it and say, this is the solution.
So you had mentioned that you feel like the schools or the educators know what's best for the students. And I believe that there are a lot of parents listening who would disagree that they actually know what's best for their students.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's where we start at as kind of a starting point for understanding what is best for educating a child. I think that it should be the default, and that's why I said earlier, I think the money should follow the child. I think that the money should go to the families to say, okay, the default position is obviously we want a child to be educated. A school district should be an option for that. A lot of people, I think, just because of history and our culture would kind of default to going to the public school system, but it shouldn't necessarily be as compulsory or the default position, right? That we should go back to the parent and say, okay, here's the starting point. You want your child to be educated. Here are some options for you, and it shouldn't be as difficult. I am a member of a lot of Facebook groups of homeschooling and of co-ops and things of that nature, and then you would be amazed by the amount of parents who are frustrated with school systems trying to get their children withdrawn, how hard it is, and educators constantly say, well, there are already options out there. Yeah, but it's just super difficult for parents to have to know the procedures and things of that nature. So I'm with you 100%. I do think that the default should be with the parents first and foremost about how their child should be educated.
Justin Spears is our guest. He's a public school teacher here in Central Indiana, also author of the book Failure, the History and Results of America's School System. So you're out there, right? Like the school system you teach in, it's not like you're hiding under a pseudonym or a pen name. You are who you are, and all your publications, your writings, your speeches, etc. Do you get pushback from your colleagues, or are there a bunch who are like privately winking and going, "Yeah, man, you're right." Like, I'm curious the makeup and what it's like for someone like you who is outwardly expressing these views.
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. I've certainly had, some colleagues who have pushed back pretty hard against my writings and the stances that I've taken. But I've had an equal amount of people who have pulled me aside and said, "Hey, I'm glad you're speaking up. I'm glad that you're taking this stance because we need this conversation to be happening." I think, unfortunately, a lot of teachers have kind of built in through, and I chronicle this in the book, that it's the teacher training programs in these universities, right, that indoctrinate our teachers into thinking that the public school system is the end all be all for how we educate children in this country. And so they kind of come into the classroom with this perspective, and then when you try to open their eyes to, hey, look, we have to critically analyze this, and we have to take a look at, how our schools are performing, and then try to, push for better environments, that they just, kind of throw up the defense. And obviously the ISTA does a great job of, pushing their message across and adding to their rank and file as well. But yeah, there's a mix of both people who are, saying, hey, I don't agree with what you're saying, and then some who are pulling me aside and saying, yeah, I'm glad you're speaking up on this.
Got about a minute here. If you were to say one or two things the Indiana General Assembly should blank next year to fix some of these problems that are going on with the public education system, what would 1 and 2 be?
Yeah, I think number one would just be get out of the way. Just get out of the way. Don't try to intervene. Anytime solutions come from an organization above what you're working at, it's usually not going to result in good things. But I would say that if they do get involved, it would just be to produce bills, to produce legislation that give local school districts more opportunity to create programs that will benefit their student makeup. Because even in Central Indiana, IPS is going to be different than township schools, which is going to be different than the suburban, which is going to be different than the outlying rural areas. So just allow local school districts opportunities to create pathways, to create options for their students, continue to increase in the business pathways, the agriculture pathways, things like Area 31 at Ben Davis, those kinds of things, because that's what students are craving. That's what families are craving, is choice.
Tell us about your book, Failure, the History and Results of America's School System, and where people can find it.
Yeah, it's up on Amazon still, a paperback version. You can find it there. Just search the title. I'm working on a second book right now called Let Down, How Schools Marginalize Our Most Vulnerable Children, where we take a look at some groups inside schools that are really affected by the way schools operate.
Justin Spears, very bold public education teacher, talking about the public education system. Thank you, my friend.
All right. Thanks so much, Rob.
Yep, you're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Do they still do mail in Carmel?
Carmel, don't ever change.
I love the living statues that sit on the benches. They're awesome.
Yes, that's how people from Greenwood earn extra money. Oh, I'm going to get emails. What have I done? Everybody here is just in debt and house poor up to their ass. Don't you laugh, Zionsville. You have it worse. $1.13 trillion of credit card debt. Half of that is on the west side of Carmel.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center understands how draining it can be when you try treatment after treatment without any relief. That's why they've been serving and treating the community for over 50 years. Indianapolis Sinus Center has performed thousands of procedures and helped thousands of patients find lasting relief they didn't know was possible. Patients like you. If you've had enough of sinus pain, pressure, and congestion, schedule a visit with Indianapolis Sinus Center today. Call 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward breathing easy. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or visit IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
The best things in life, they come in twos. 2 scoops of ice cream, 2 tacos. And now for a limited time, get our best deal of the year. Buy any phone when you switch to Consumer Cellular and get 2 months of service free. That's right, the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage as Big Wireless, now with 2 months free. Proof the best things in life really do come in twos. Visit consumercellular.com or call 1-888-FREEDOM. Second and third month of monthly base service fee waived for new customers with the purchase of a phone and activation by July 31st, 2024. Taxes, fees, and third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
Oh, I so got you down a rabbit hole on Saturday, didn't I?
You did. You did.
How late were you up after? And I deliberately waited to send that to you until late because I said, I wonder how late I can keep her up for.
You know what? I actually watched it on Sunday, so you didn't keep me up late Saturday night at all.
Totally worth it, though, right?
It was totally worth it. I started watching this Fenn Treasure program at about 9 o'clock last night, and it was only 45 minutes long.
Okay, so what we're talking about here is, and this has been a thing that was kind of nationally known, but I just obviously wasn't aware of it. There was a very famous treasure called the Fenn Treasure, which was, this guy's name was Forrest Fenn. He was a member of the U.S. military. He had a very successful kind of business life. And in the 1980s, he probably would have been 50-something at the time he was diagnosed with cancer. And so at the time, he buries this treasure of golden coins and nuggets, and it's buried, ultimately somewhere in the Rockies.
Yep.
And he thinks he's going to die, and he said, well, ultimately, I want to be buried next to my treasure. And then he recovers. By the grace of God, he is healed, and he recovers. And in 2010, he published this memoir, and obviously he includes the treasure in the memoir and a poem as to where the treasure is located.
Yep.
So this becomes public of, hey, this guy has buried this treasure somewhere in the Rockies. You have no idea where it's at. The only thing you have to work off of is this poem, but there's this treasure that is worth, it was different estimates, somewhere over $1 million. Well, then the next 10 years, basically, tens of thousands of people start looking
for the
treasure. And so 48 hours, this was several years ago, but I was down a rabbit hole on Saturday, did a big expose on this a couple of years ago, and I came to that episode, and I started watching it. And I sent it to Casey for a couple of reasons. Number one, I thought 48 Hours did a great job because tragically there were people who passed away looking for this treasure.
There were 5 people who died looking for it.
It spans the Colorado Rockies. It's multiple states. You're in the mountains. It's rivers and bobcats. And, this is not some
snow caps
stroll on the B&O Trail in Brownsburg, right?
Yeah, it's not the Monon Trail.
And so on one hand, they did a good job of kind of capturing the thousands of people who said, this brought me so much joy to look for this. And I met this Forrest Fenn, and my family met him, and he was this very kind old man, and we loved him, and we loved this. And people met their husbands and wives doing this. And then they interviewed the people who were family members of people who had passed away, and they said, this guy's selfishness and self-absorption,
he should stop the treasure hunt,
killed my family member. And so you're sort of you're seeing both sides of this going, well, wait a second, as a free man, you have the right to look for whatever you want to look for, or do on your own time whatever you want to do. But then you also see, if you're an addict, like, the thrill of the hunt or whatever is the same thing of people who might be addicted to drugs or whatever. You could see how they would get roped into it. And it's this sort of like moral dilemma of who's right here. I tend to side that people are free and can do as they wish. But I did see, and it kind of, I appreciated the grief that the family and the anger that the family members were having.
They felt that Fenn had some sort of responsibility to stop the treasure hunters and prevent more deaths from happening. But at the end of the day, I think it's really a story about the liberty which we have in this country. Here's an example. You can go and mortgage your house to the hilt because you want to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
If your business sinks and the bank comes and takes your house, well, the bank is doing what the bank told you they were going to do.
Yeah.
You can't blame them. You can strap $200 around yourself, go walk around Monument Circle naked. If bad things happen to you, guess what? That was your choice to do that. You weren't forced into seeking this treasure. It's what these people wanted to do. So you can't really blame the guy who buried the treasure for their loss.
So somebody ultimately, it took about 11 years. The Forrest Fenn died, I believe, in 2020. And then I think in right after he died, some guy found the treasure.
It was actually right before he died.
Right before he died. Okay, yes, thank you. That's right, because they met. Yes, there's the photos. Thank you very much. Yes. So this guy found it, and then it starts this big rumor, controversy about Forrest Fenn was a very old man. He knew he was going to die. Did he tell this guy where it was? Did he tip him off because he wanted to see somebody in his lifetime? You know, I don't tend to believe that, but I just, man, I thought, then it got me thinking, okay, Casey, let's say that I think the guy sold the contents of the treasure for like $1.3 million. And by the way, he never divulged where. They know it's in Wyoming.
Yeah, it was by Old Faithful around there in Wyoming.
But they don't know the exact location. Apparently that was Forrest Fenn's dying wish, was to keep that a secret, et cetera. This guy sells the contents of the treasure. I think he got like $1.3 million. And so it got me thinking, Casey, two questions for you, because you're a bit of an adventurer. You like to hike and you like to do these sort of things. What level of risk would you take if you knew you would get $1.3 million?
Yeah.
And what level of risk would you be willing to take for a shot at winning $1.3 million?
Well, obviously, the risk level is going to go down if it's just a possibility. If I knew it was there, I would definitely be more risky, but I wouldn't go up to the point of risking my life.
Yeah.
I have hiked the Rockies. I have been to the summit of Mount Evans, and even in a car driving it can be a little scary. And when you're in those high elevations, you know, the air's thinner and you can't breathe as well. So you have to know your own limits when you're going to put yourself in risk. Now, some of these people that were treasure hunting, they weren't using common sense. Like they became obsessed. And that makes me think, well, there was something going on there. Not only did they want the money, they wanted the accolades for finding the money. They wanted to be known. They needed to prove themselves to other people. And I'm not going to go that far. I don't need to prove myself to the point of losing my life.
Well, and that the one guy, the father of the one guy who passed away, said that it wasn't even about the money to this guy. It was about being the
bragging rights.
And this Forrest Fenn becomes this kind of like mythical grandfather character that everybody wanted to prove to old Forrest that they could find his treasure.
And Forrest's whole point, the reason he said that he buried the treasure was because he wanted people to get out in nature.
Yeah.
And as you mentioned, a lot of people, it wasn't the you know, finding the treasure. It was the journey along the way.
However, with $1 million, I could buy the Lockmillers building across from the State House, which means I could drape my Holcomb Sucks sign. And now I would think, I think I've changed my mind on what I would put on my, for those of you who don't know, Casey and I have often talked when these big mega jackpots pop up about what you would do if you won a certain amount of money. And one of the first things I would do, if you drive across from the Indiana Government Center in downtown Indianapolis in the State House, there's a very old building in a prominent location, and there's a famous bar, restaurant, whatever, called Lockmillers. And I have said if I hit the lottery, the first thing I would do would be buy that building, because it's a multi-story brick building, and it's got windows up top where you could drape a giant sheet out of it. Like you'll see this at ball games and stuff.
I don't know if 1.3 would buy that building.
I don't know.
But the way real estate prices are right now, I don't know if that's enough.
Yeah, I bet I could make them a decent offer on that second story, because I don't know what they're really using that for. I could rent that thing for at least for a sizable amount of time. And now I don't think I'm going to do Holcomb Sucks anymore.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to do What Did Holcomb Know About Noel? And I'm just going to drape that in light of the Indiana Capitol Chronicle article.
He was stunned and shocked. But the question is, you seem to be more risk adverse.
I seem to be?
What would you do? I mean, would you go on this treasure hunt?
I started.
You don't even like to get on a plane. How are you going to get out to the Rockies?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't do it. It's just not worth it. My life is priceless, Casey. Now, the people who passed away, many of them, you're correct, made very, you hate to say someone made a stupid decision who's no longer with us.
Well, they made poor decisions.
They made terrible choices.
I mean, the one guy who died from hypothermia, they left all their provisions at a truck and then proceeded forward on snowmobiles, and then left the snowmobiles with those provisions and left on foot.
Yeah.
A snowstorm hit. It was January in the Rockies.
No,
what do you think is going to happen?
You're right, but I would. Okay, so But there were other people who enjoyed it and were totally on Forrest Fenn's side, like who would encounter bobcats and things like that.
Right.
Like they're just walking along the trail. Oh, hello, here's a bobcat. So no, I wouldn't do any of this. Why? Because I've been poor my whole life, Casey. I'm fine. I know I'm going to hopefully just have enough to afford a poorly assembled box for them to throw me in. I've accepted my lot in life,
The thing
Casey.
about the lady who encountered the bobcat, she knew what to do in that situation. She was prepared. She had some information. She made herself be as big as she possibly could, made a lot of loud noises, and the bobcat shuffled off. Now, I encountered a mountain goat when I was hiking in the Rockies.
Were you by yourself?
Well, no, Jim was with me.
Oh, okay.
But like
you needed a man. No, it's fine.
He was driving the car.
It's okay.
I didn't.
Wait, driving the car? I thought you were hiking.
Well, we were at the top of Mount Evans, so we drove up to the top and then hiked around at the summit.
So you're like the person who gets in a golf cart at a mini marathon and just cuts through all the alleyways and then shows up at the end and goes, "Look, I won."
Do you know how tall Mount Evans is? There's no way I would hike up an entire mountain. I tried that with Mount Rainier, and it was too scary.
You were like, "I am woman, hear me roar." You needed a man to drive you around.
But talking about risk assessment, though, I knew it was a mountain goat. I got a picture of it, but I wasn't going to go up and hug it.
Yeah.
Because it could ram me. I mean, that's you got to draw the line somewhere about the risk. And if you're at the top of this mountain and you do get rammed by a mountain goat, what are you going to do? You got to drive all the way back down.
I can't believe you had your husband driving you around. I thought you were some prolific climber.
Well, we were together. I was passenger princess that day.
Hey, we got some wacky voicemails, didn't we?
Yes, well, one may surprise you. I can't wait to get your reaction on it. I'm not even going to ruin it. We've got voicemails coming up. It's 93 WIBC.
Introducing Lumi for Men, and we named him Mando. I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the inventor of Mando Whole Body Deodorant for pits, packages, and feet, because we all know our pits aren't the only place we get odor. Mando Whole Body Deodorant is different from anything you've ever tried before. It stops odor before it starts, powered by our acidified technology. Mando controls odor anywhere you have it. My patented whole body deodorant formula has over 200,000 five-star reviews. And because Mando has a 60-day stink-free guarantee, you can try Mando risk-free. Give Mando whole body deodorant a try today and smell like the stink-free man you were intended to be.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 888 and get an extra $5 off a Mando starter pack that comes with a solid stick, cream tube, 2 free products of your choice, and ships free with code 888. Go to shopmando.com, code 888, for an extra $5 off a Mando starter pack. That's shopmando.com, code 888.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It's Hunter's turn in court. Radar is clear. It is 75 and sunny downtown. I'm Kirk Darling. Here's what's trending at 10:30. The president's son will have his day in front of a judge soon. Jury selection happening today.
250 people will be narrowed down to 12 jurors who will determine whether Hunter Biden is guilty of 3 federal gun charges. Federal prosecutors say Hunter lied about his drug use on a form to buy a gun in October 2018, a gun that he kept for 11 days. He had been hoping a plea deal would help him avoid prosecution in this case, but that deal fell apart dramatically last June, leading to this historic day in court a year later.
Fox's Madeline Rivera. The Minnesota Vikings are signing wide receiver Justin Jefferson to a historic contract extension. The team and Jefferson agreed to a 4-year extension worth $140 million, with $110 million of that guaranteed. The deal makes Jefferson the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL's history. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Will you be the one? This summer, Shepherd Community will spend hundreds of hours with 200 kids, learning, adventuring, and experiencing life-transforming relationships. Help us make a difference for one child. For just $28, you can impact a child for one day at Shepherd. One moment, one relationship can make a difference in the life of a child. You can be the one. Visit shepherdcommunity.org/be the one to give today. That's shepherdcommunity.org/be the one.
Hey, guys, it's Rob from my friends at Life Church. Man, had an awesome time at Life Church yesterday. I did the announcements, and I didn't totally embarrass myself. But we love Life Church because they're warm, they're welcoming, and over the years, many WIBC listeners have found a home at Life Church. I know we are one of them. You got to see it for yourself. You got everything going in your direction, right? You got nothing to lose, everything to gain, and they make it super easy for you with campuses all across central Indiana, Noblesville, Fishers, Eagle Creek, and Pendleton. They've got incredible online services. You can learn more about everything at lifechurchin.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
1 point, 1 swing, 1 tackle, 1 step. One trusted hospital system for orthopedic care. Franciscan Health's orthopedic, sports medicine, and rehabilitation teams offer state-of-the-art treatments, including total joint replacement, physical therapy, and the latest techniques and interventions for a variety of conditions, including arthritis and orthopedic sports-related injuries, keeping you in step, one step at a time. Find a full range of orthopedic care in one place. Go to franciscanhealth.org/orthocare.
As a caregiver, managing your loved one's health can at times be overwhelming. This is Tina McIntosh, president of Joy's House and co-host of the Caregiver Crossing radio program. In a moment, I'll share 3 tips to help you manage your loved one's medical care effectively.
At Cardon Senior Living Communities, you'll find our teams share a commitment to enhancing the lifestyle and well-being of the people we serve every day at every stage of life.
Tip number 1, keep a list of all medications, dosages, and schedules to ensure your loved one is taking their medication correctly. Second, attend doctor's appointments with your loved one when you're able. And finally, stay organized by keeping forms, notes, and other important documents in one secure place. More tips like this are available anytime at caregivercrossingradio.org. With new weekly content created by Joy's House and distributed in partnership with Network Indiana, we're an on-air and online support group for Hoosier family caregivers. Hear conversations with experts, access a library of online education, and more at caregivercrossingradio.org.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead. Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC. It's time to hear from you. Kendall and Casey present Voicemails. Brought to you by QC Kinetics for non-surgical regenerative medicine treatment at 317-559-PAIN.
For the voicemails, 317-684-8444, 317-684-8444. It is your chance to give us your hot take or just throw in any opinion you got on the show. It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC. So we had Doc G on the show on Friday.
Dr. Scott Gintner, one of the leading dermatologists in the state of Indiana.
Yep, and we talked some stuff about skin cancer, and we got a few phone calls about that.
Hey. I just got done listening to your segment with the skin doctor, and I thought that was really cool. That might be something you guys could incorporate on a weekly basis, maybe a different health professional once a week. It would be great. Now that I'm an old man, that's kind of handy.
I think Kevin should start by reaching out to Dr. Bach's gynecologist.
Right, you think
she should be our first health professional guest. She'd love to come on our show.
Right, and tell you about social distancing. I'm sure that'd be wonderful. Another phone call about Doc G.
Hey, I just wanted to thank you guys for doing that segment on the skin cancer today. I'm 63 years old, and my dad died when I was 22. He was only 42 when he passed away. And he ended up getting melanoma. He got a really bad sunburn, and one day we were driving to a flea market together, and he just showed me a mole, and it was just, sticking up. I told my dad, I said, "My God, Dad, go to the doctors." He did. Got it removed, but they had found out that it was malignant and basically spread through his whole body. He died. I think within a year he was dead. And I happened to be home from the military doing recruiting when that happened. And I went into shock. I really did. And to this day, it still just affects me. And, you know, it's an easy thing to do for everybody. Go get checked up. I do it now. I have moles removed. You know, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your kids. Do it for your family. Because I'll tell you, cancer's it's a nasty thing, and it'll take you out quick, and it doesn't care about what your situation is in life.
Well, first of all, thank you for your service, and we're sorry for your loss on that. But he's right. It's something that you should get checked out annually.
Yeah.
And if there's any signs, get that taken care of quickly before it does become an issue for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so somebody called and wanted to agree with you on
that's
something.
rare.
I know, that's rare. It's why we're airing this phone call. He's agreeing with you on how awful the Republicans are.
Hey, Casey, Rob in particular, I just got back in my car. I heard you railing on the Republicans, and yes, I totally agree, Rob. I call my Congress people all the time. I'm sure they just hit delete. You know, I'm not in their district or whatever, but I mean, if you call Comer, you can get to the, you know, the staff or the whatever Republican majority. And, yeah, I mean, they could have put the Biden administration on the defensive 2 years ago when they took over Congress. And they could be throwing impeachments and all kinds of legal, justifiable lawfare at these crooks and Hunter Biden and the rest of them. And you're right, Jim Banks is a coward. I won't vote for that guy for Senate. The dude's a total poser and a fraud, but they all are. That's the problem. That's part of my frustration. Not only can we not win and hold them accountable, Todd Young's insulated. Not only is he in for 8 years, but he knows most people will forget, and then by the time he does come up again, all these people that are supposed Republicans, you hear the word uniparty, they're all in it together, man.
Yeah, he's right. That guy and I are starting to agree on stuff. It's getting scary. No, he's right. But, I mean, let's take it locally. Look at what we talked about in hour one. We had a guy on, Ken Colbert from down in Evansville, who's got to go in front of some board tonight, even though he was elected as a delegate. His election was certified as a delegate. He's got to go in front of some board, which he doesn't even know why.
Well,
to get to be a delegate. No, I mean, he doesn't know, like, do they have the power to remove him as a delegate? How could they have the power to remove him as a delegate? The election's been certified. Are the elections just a fraud? Are the elections just a sham? Do the elections not even matter? Why are they doing this to him? Because he's voting for Micah Beckwith. Right. And the Braun people and the establishment know that Beckwith has a ton of support, and this is going to be a lot closer because Braun's weak, because Braun's record is as a tax and spender. Thanks to shows like this, people are wise to it. And Julie McGuire, his hand-picked stooge, is the same way. And so, but all these are, this guy is right. There's no difference between these two parties. It's the same thing. Just pick your poison. They'll just kill you different ways.
Okay, so Caitlin Clark got roughed up over the weekend, although she is still putting up some pretty impressive points, 150 points, 50 rebounds, 50 assists. That's in the first 10 games of her WNBA career. And those stats don't even include how many times she's getting pushed around on the court. Somebody wanted to call and make a comment about the WNBA.
I just have a comment about these women that they play basketball and we get paid some money to do it. This is their problem. They have problems with being lifted up, and they spit in the golden goose. You know, these girls are too stupid to even be where they are. So please, dumb girls, do something right next time. Let's support our team.
Yeah. Well, it's pure jealousy. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Jealousy and vindictiveness.
And the problem is they know, because of political correctness, these largely NBA owners who own these WNBA teams will not let them fail no matter how much money they lose. So there's no incentive for them to embrace and support Caitlin Clark, because no matter what, they'll keep them afloat so they can be petty and jealous and mean-spirited, and there'll be no repercussion for it.
Well, there did come one repercussion. Chicago Sky got fined $1,000.
Woo, $1,000. Woo.
Mm-hmm. And they, let's see, did they raise that to 5,000 too?
I think the team got fined. I think the player got fined 1,000 and the team got fined 5,000.
Okay, one more phone call. This one may surprise you.
Uh-oh.
I'm not even going to tell you what it's about.
Oh, no.
Just roll it, Kevin.
Hey, this is Bobby Kern. I'm the same person who's running for Lieutenant Governor of Indiana. I heard your show I didn't hear it the same day that it was aired, but I did listen to it today in its entirety today on Friday, which was the May 30th episode. I thought it was awesome. Thank you for your kind words. I have to tell you a story behind all this, so I would love for you to give me a call back, because I would love to come on your show and talk to you about why I decided to run for lieutenant governor. And I understand that you guys think I run for everything, and that is true. I do run for everything. And I just would like to give my take on why I'm running, and would love to come in and meet the two of you guys, because I think you guys have a great, awesome show. I never actually thought that I would agree with a lot of things that you say, and, I do.
Wait.
Blink twice if you're okay,
Is
Rob.
this where Ashton Kutcher pops out from behind a bush?
No, I had that verified. That was really him.
The Impractical Joker guy's in your ear right now telling Bob Kern called the show?
So he's running for lieutenant governor on the Democrat side.
Right, that's correct. But let's talk about he's, according to what came out in court, he's Gabe Whitley's roommate.
Correct. And he thinks you're doing a great job and wants to come in and meet you and talk to you. Do you think it was set up?
I don't know.
Was that phone call made against you?
I don't know. I have no idea. I would be very interested in talking to him about running for lieutenant governor. I would also be interested in talking to him about we have a lot of questions about Gabe he might be able to shed some light on. So I'll tell you what, Casey, I'm going to put you in charge of this.
Oh.
Because you're the one everybody likes anyway.
Uh-huh. You want me to reach out to him?
That was very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And look, he's a legitimate candidate for lieutenant governor on the Democrat side. Right now, I think he's the only Democrat who's filed.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's a legit. I guess we'll get to go to their convention and give a speech.
Although Joe Donnelly did announce that he was no longer going to be serving the ambassador to the Vatican, and he was coming home.
There's no way he's stupid enough to
be Jennifer McCormick's lieutenant governor.
Man, I think you gotta explore this a little more, because we have so many Gabe questions that Bob probably knows the answer to. And
doesn't that to you sound like somebody who wants to talk?
It certainly seems like he called the show saying he wanted to talk.
Right, and gave us his phone number.
So maybe I'm going to put you in charge of this, and that was I am about ready to fall out of my chair, Casey.
Okay, well, don't do that. Hammer's going to join us next. It's 93 WIBC.
Coming up on Tony Katz today, will Israel take this quote-unquote Biden deal, and are we going to see anything better in this economy? Charles Payne scheduled to be with us. That's after the news at noon on 93 WIBC.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Gilbert worked in retail and restaurant management for 14 years. It was time for a change.
I recognized where I was at was vulnerable to the whims of the economy.
Then he heard about My Computer Career. Gilbert went for it.
In as little as 7 months, I got all of my certifications at a fraction of a cost for college.
He became an IT pro in just months with zero experience at mycomputercareer.edu.
I can work from anywhere. I have more time for my family as well.
It's not rocket science. It's mycomputercareer.edu.
This is one student's experience. Individual results vary.
Garage Doors of Indianapolis has been a local, family-owned and operated business for nearly 50 years and helps keep Central Indiana's economy strong by employing over 70 families. Garage Doors of Indianapolis stands by their products and services while they share and embrace our conservative values. So when you have garage door problems, call them today for service today. Garage Doors of Indianapolis, 875-4577, 875-4577, or visit doorstoday.com.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
With T-Mobile, you can save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, we'll pay off your locked AT&T phone up to $650, and you'll get a new 5G phone for free.
Pay off
via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Free phone up to $830 via 24 monthly bill credits with qualifying planning credit plus tax and $35 connection charge. Contact us before canceling to continue bill credits or they stop and required finance agreement balance is due. See T-Mobile.com.
Welcome to Pike's Smokes Megastore's Monday Madness. You'll always find something to like at Pike's Smokes Megastore. To celebrate Monday Madness, spend $50 or more and snatch 15% off your entire purchase. Looking for vapes, cigars, or hemp products? Pike's Smokes Megastore has everything you want and more than you can imagine. Don't miss out on military, first responder, and senior discounts, plus an early bird special. Head to 5028 East 62nd Street, Indianapolis, or visit pikesmokesmegastore.com.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Join WIBC this Saturday for the Home and Garden Show, live from Sullivan Hardware and Garden from 9 to 1. Meet us at 71st and Keystone for barbecue, music, and door prizes as we remember Pat Sullivan's mother, Rita, and help support the Alzheimer's Association.
Good morning. It is Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC, and Hammer's in the studio. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. This segment brought to you by the Hammer and Nigel Show merch store, store.hammerandnigel.com. Your fireworks, they're getting ready to happen, right? July 4th, right around the corner. Everybody's got their community fireworks. Get your 1776 shirt or the George freaking Washington shirt right now. Have it in time by Independence Day weekend. Store.hammerandnigel.com.
Remember when we used to have the big fireworks event when Emmis owned us? Remember that?
I was promotion director. I was like a 24-hour work day.
Yeah. Yeah, I missed that. That was a lot of...
I do not. As a citizen of Indianapolis, I miss it. But as somebody that had to work that, that was such a long, hot day. And when the fireworks are over and most people are going home, we still have to clean up downtown Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And
that's not safe anymore.
The things we used to see then, imagine now. It's ramped up quite a bit now.
You were commenting on you tried to go to the movies over the weekend, and it was just so abysmal. The list was so abysmal you couldn't even go.
So I'm good for maybe one movie a year. I don't think I went last year. The last movie I saw in a theater, I think, was Top Gun Maverick. But if there's something that interests me, maybe we'll go out, right? But man, I remember when Memorial Day weekend and the following weeks were the summer blockbuster timeline. So we thought, you know what? This weekend, we don't have much going on. We got things done. Let's go watch a movie. And I'm starting to look at these listings. They all suck.
Yeah.
Every single thing out there stinks right now.
Nothing to choose from.
No. So either Hollywood is completely out of ideas or I don't know what, but it feels like there's no originality. And some things you can just rehash, right? Like there's always going to be a place for the raunchy sex comedy. There's always going to be a place for the over-the-top action movie. And there's usually some sort of superhero Marvel type of movie. None of that's like out right now.
Well, you did have the writer's strike that you had to deal with a year ago. So I'm sure that's delayed a lot of movies.
And maybe that's it, but man,
I'm trying to play devil's advocate.
I just don't think they're stars anymore. I mean, like, so is The Rock the biggest star in Hollywood?
I still think it's Tom Cruise, to be honest.
Well, okay, Tom Cruise, and he is one of the old school guys. But The Rock is like kind of one of the biggest guys. Every time I look at him, I just see him like the wacky wrestler guy that used to make funny quips about Stephanie McMahon's cans. I mean, like, I just don't take him serious as a movie person. But he used to be with Schwarzenegger. It was, Sylvester Stallone. It was, Harrison Ford. It was Bruce Willis.
And those were stars that had like staying power. They were good for like a decade. It feels like we go in small increments now. Like Bradley Cooper had his window. Vince Vaughn had his little window. And not many people are good for a long period of time
And
now.
they choose these overly good-looking guys to be the superheroes now, like that Hemsworth guy and Mimosa or whatever his name is. And so like Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger, they were very fit, obviously, but they were not, This was not Fabio up there on stage.
But you don't want a fat Batman. You don't want Fat Man.
Well, as I'm saying, I think you had a nice. I mean, Bruce Willis is another example.
Because if you give Hollywood that idea, Rob, they're going to take that inch and they're going to use it for a mile, and you're going to have some big fat woman be Batman moving forward. The same way they've ruined the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue and the Victoria's Secret catalog. Well, we've got to be more inclusive. Look, there's nothing wrong with seeing hot models do their thing, right? You don't need to have a fatty everywhere you go. And I can say this because I am fat.
Yeah, getting slimmer every day. I saw something and I wanted to ask you about this. You follow Super 70 Sports.
Love it. I think that's
Twitter.
my favorite Twitter handle.
Yeah, they do funny stuff. They posted a picture of the original Bazooka Joe.
Yeah.
You remember the bubble gum?
Oh, yeah.
I used to love that stuff. And it says, I'm going to edit for radio, but it says, dude was 9 and already lost an eye. Because if you remember, the Bazooka Joe character has an eye patch.
Yes.
And it got me to thinking, when I was younger and I was chewing the Bazooka Joe, I was on the Huffy bike. I was out in the neighborhood. I was drinking from the garden hose. I was out in the woods. Parents didn't know where I was.
Or were they driving you around like your mountain trip,
No.
Casey?
I mean, I was on the Huffy bike with the banana seat. Let me tell you, I rock that thing. And,
I'm a climber. I was on my bike. The bike was in the back of the truck.
No. I was totally, I was, kicking the soccer ball on the driveway, listening to Led Zeppelin. And I was out until, the street lights came on. And it got me thinking about you two because for some reason, this Bazooka Joe reminded me of you, Hammer. And I thought, Rob, he probably wasn't the danger guy around the neighborhood. I'm just guessing.
Right.
But you seem to me like you were the one who was out until it got dark out. And you were playing the games in the neighborhood. And you were the rough and tumble kid. And
so I get black eyes all the time, but like if you play ball, because I played ball pretty much my whole life until I couldn't anymore, like you get black eyes, you get sprained ankles, like you have teeth knocked out in accidents, not even fights. But what we used to do at the Beach Grove Park is, again, now nobody ever plays basketball outdoors at these parks anymore, but we used to just be there all day, all night. There'd be people waiting, 5 games deep to have next to get a run in. And when the sun started to go down, because there were no lights, people would bring their cars up, like in the grassy area, turn their headlights on, and you'd play till like 10, 11 o'clock at night.
So you could keep playing. Now, you're a parent. I'm curious as to what your reaction would have been, and your son is a collegiate athlete. What would your reaction have been had he been treated the way Caitlin Clark was treated in the game over the weekend?
Like, let's say some guy took a bowling ball and smashed him in the head from behind.
Well, first of all, Chris Hammer would take said bowling ball and respond. Caitlin's way too classy.
Thank you. She's
the
too
Hammer
nice.
family is not that classy.
She's way too nice.
But the thing is, like, I get why these women are beating up on Caitlin. It's a welcome to the WNBA. It's a welcome to the league. You're not better than we are thing. I expect that from the other teams. The thing that bothers me the most is that her teammates just let it happen. They let her stay on the floor. Very few people help her up. Nobody reciprocates. Like, imagine like when the Pacers first came to prominence in the NBA in the 90s. If somebody would have hit Reggie Miller like that, Dale and Antonio Davis would need bail money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And even like in the other years, because I'll just keep it with the Pacers to keep it local. You think David West was going to allow Paul George to get hit like that?
They want her to fail. That's the only obvious answer, is that they want her to fail. And my theory on this is because they know, out of political correctness, these NBA owners will leave that league propped up no matter how much money they lose, so they don't have any incentive to be grateful that she's there and helping create all this interest in the league.
I mean, that one cheap shot that the Chicago player, not Angel Reese, but the one that nobody knows about, she just basically delivers a shoulder.
Barrels right into her,
knocks her down. And if you watch the rest of the video, the Fever player, I think it's number 1, Aaliyah Boston, who was the number 1 pick a year ago, just watches it and walks by.
Yeah.
Like, you're the big, strong number 1 pick from a year ago. You're not going to help your teammate? Like, even if you don't like her, that's your teammate. So imagine being at a night with WIBC. You might not be friends with Abdul or Tony Katz, but if somebody comes up and cheap shots them, it's on, because that's my teammate, man. And these girls don't do that, and that's what's disappointing.
I'm kind of wondering, like, how her father feels about all this, because, he was in the stands for all of those college games that she played. He's supporting her now. At what point is, he going to say something to her? Or is she the type of person who's like, no, I'm sticking with this. I'm going to prove that I can do this. And until when? Until she gets really hurt?
I think she's more like that. Like, her dad probably wants to get in the mix, but I can see Caitlyn going, I got this, leave me alone. This team's not very good. So just let's figure it out and we'll roll from there.
You want to be really impressed, Casey?
Yeah.
Screw this Caitlin Clark stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I bet on a guy named Robert McIntyre yesterday in golf, and he won.
Yeah!
How about that?
So you won.
What's coming up this afternoon?
3:06 is when we crack the mic. We're 3 to 7. Monday Gun Day with Guy Relford, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
Thanks, Hammer. It's Kendall Casey on 93 WIBC.
There's only one real estate expert I trust with the sale of my home, Mark Deedle. How about Jim and Jean in Whitestown? They had an 18-acre horse farm. There's a lot to manage, and they were ready to downsize. But selling a horse farm is pretty unique. It takes the right agent and the right buyer. So they hired Mark Deedle. Mark aggressively marketed the property and found the right seller with a super quick close.
What separates Mark Deedle from the competition is the guarantee. Mark Deedle guarantees your home sold at a mutually agreed upon price and deadline, or he will buy it. That is the Mark Deedle guarantee. Pick your move date, no long-term contracts, and you can cancel at any time. Call Mark Deedle today, 317-755-4232. He's the only agent we trust and recommend on the Hammer and Nigel show. You can also go online to markdeedle.com. That's Mark, D-I-E-T-E-L, markdeedle.com.
When you use Bounce dryer sheets and your clothes look amazing, it's the sheet. Less static in your life? Yeah, it's the sheet. Smelling fresher than ever? It's the sheet. Oh, so soft fabric? Ooh la la. It's the sheet. Less wrinkles on your clothes? You know it's the sheet. Bounce dryer sheets. More freshness, more softness. Less static, less wrinkles. It's the sheet.
Seasons change. Why not your tech? Upgrade now during the Dell Technologies Summer Sale event and save on select PCs like the XPS 16 powered by Intel Core processors. You'll be able to bring your most intensive projects to life with built-in AI, minimalistic design, immersive visuals, and cinematic audio. When you shop online at Dell.com/deals, you'll have access to exceptional tech and electronics plus free shipping on everything. Amazing prices await you for a limited time only at Dell.com/deals. That's Dell.com/deals.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
Coming up in 2 minutes, police are looking for a pair of suspects in separate shootings. Plus, John Herrick reports on when you can expect the candidates for governor to debate. And a legend of Indiana State basketball has died. It's a name you may have forgotten about. I'm Kurt Darling. That and more coming up from the Technology Recycler Studios after Fox News. You're listening to 93 WIBC, WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. It's 11 o'clock.
Back on the Hill, I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. Dr. Anthony Fauci is testifying publicly in Congress for the first time in 2 years at a hearing about the origins of and response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Ohio House Republican Brad Wenstrup.
While policy decisions should have been based on scientific data, some frankly were not.
The accusation being circulated that I influenced these scientists to change their minds by bribing them with millions of dollars in grant money is absolutely false and simply preposterous.
Dr. Fauci denies taking any part in any sort of cover-up. Hunter Biden's gun trial starts today with jury selection.
I am the president, but also a dad, President Biden says in a statement on the opening day of his son Hunter Biden's federal trial in Delaware. In a statement, the president says he won't comment on the pending federal cases, but as a dad has boundless love for his son and says Hunter's resilience in the face of adversity and strength in his recovery are inspiring. The First Lady, Jill Biden, arrived at the court in Wilmington on her 73rd birthday ahead of jury selection getting underway. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
President Biden's expected to announce new limits on asylum seekers no later than tomorrow, joined at an announcement by the mayors of Brownsville and Edinburgh, Texas.
The White House has been teasing executive action on the U.S. southern border for months. The president is going to make an announcement before he departs for Europe. Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, says no matter what Biden does now, it's going to be too little too late. The White House plans to shut off asylum requests and automatically deny entry to migrants each day on a daily basis once the number of people encountered by border officials reaches a set cap number.
Fox's Jillian Turner at the White House. The president's also congratulating Claudia Sheinbaum for her presidential election victory in Mexico. She's Mexico's first woman president. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
Two separate shootings. Radar is clear. Sunny and 75 downtown. I'm Kurt Darling. Here's what's trending at 11:02. Both happened overnight. The first shooting was around 11 at an apartment complex on the west side near 16th and the White River. Captain Mark McCardio with IMPD says there were words exchanged between some people.
Later on, the disturbance got violent, and we ended up having two people shot. An adult male and adult female.
Both are alive at the hospital, as is a man found in a separate incident near 29th and MLK a few hours later. That man was shot in the leg, police say. The man shot in Canby earlier Sunday has died. He was shot outside of a Walmart shortly before 2. His name was Matthew Steele, 34, of Indianapolis. Investigators have a person of interest in custody. Two debates featuring two candidates running for governor will be airing on TV in the fall. John Herrick with the details.
Republican Mike Braun said Monday morning that he's agreed to debate his Democrat opponent, Jennifer McCormick. The first debate is October 1st on Fox 59. The other is October 3rd on Wish TV. It's not clear yet if Libertarian Donald Rainwater will take part. Election Day is November 5th. John Herrick, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
A Delta flight out of Indianapolis to New York was late getting there on Friday. It was because of an unruly passenger. Bill Leschhorn was on the plane.
Language that she was using on the plane towards some of the other passengers was very threatening.
Talking to Wish TV, he says the woman refused to put her carry-on bag in an overhead bin when asked to by flight attendants. Because of her violent outburst, the pilot took the plane back to the gate and she was removed from the plane. Airport police had to put her in handcuffs. Former Indiana State basketball player and coach Dwayne Clee has died. He played under legendary coach John Wooden while at ISU, leading the team to deep runs in the NAIA National Tournament. After playing 2 seasons in the NBA, he led the Trees for 12 seasons as a head coach, including in their transition from NAIA to the NCAA in the 50s and 60s. Clee was 98 years old. I'm Kurt Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
Sinus pain. You know it all too well. It's constant. It's frustrating. The pressure, the headaches, the snoring, the constant clogged feeling. You're tired of feeling like this, but you've tried nasal sprays, over-the-counter medicines, even home remedies. No matter what you try, nothing gives you lasting sinus relief. You're tired of missing out and feeling miserable. There is something you can do. Something different. Indianapolis Sinus Center. The physicians at Indianapolis Sinus Center have been serving the community with proven treatments for over 50 years. They know what you're going through, and they're standing by ready to offer you the best treatments to provide long-term relief. Breathe better. You don't have to keep suffering from sinus pain. Call Indianapolis Sinus Center today at 317-528-9650 and take the first step toward relief. 317-528-9650. That's 317-528-9650 or go to IndianapolisSinusCenter.com.
You're listening to Rob Kendall.
When we talk about sending money somewhere, we're talking about printing the money because we have no money.
And Casey Daniels.
My government would never lie to me, would they?
On 93 WIBC.
Good morning. It is Monday, June 3rd. It is 5 minutes after 11. You're listening to Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC. Guess what? Just as everyone suspected, mask mandates and social distancing had no actual science to back it up.
Wait.
Surprise!
No. Time out.
Yeah.
Now, I distinctly remember the governor going on statewide television time after time. Remember, he was doing it every week. Now, you got smart and fled the state for a while. But for those of us who were stuck here, every week he'd come on TV and he'd finger wag at people, and his henchman, Dr. Bach's gynecologist, she'd finger wag at people. Now, of course, she was then photographed at her kid's wedding, not wearing a mask, but that's another story.
Right.
And then, of course, after he laid down all the rules, went to that cabin in southern Indiana, and then he was photographed with strangers not wearing a mask. But that's a story. That's another time. We probably don't have time to get in that. But he told me, Casey, he was trusting the science. Now, if you're telling me, are you going to stand here right now and call the governor of the state of Indiana a liar who had no idea what he was talking about?
All I'm doing is relaying the information, and that is that the bombshell testimony from Dr. Fauci revealed that what? He made it up.
No kidding.
Made it all up. Okay, so Republicans released a full transcript. You remember they had a sit down with Fauci back in January. They released the full transcript of that conversation in anticipation of his testimony that he's giving today.
But the emails showed he made it up. They didn't even need his testimony. The emails from years ago showed that he knew the masking stuff didn't work. My favorite thing about masking was failed former Surgeon General Jerome Adams.
Who still is masking?
He's still telling you masking works. Came out originally and said the right thing and said the correct thing, which is masks don't work. Stop doing this. You people are being, basically, he didn't use these words, but basically, you guys are being overzealous idiots. Stop this. And then within weeks, once the media got all in on masking, then he not only became pro-mask, he was shaming and ridiculing. I think I'm still blocked on social media for having the audacity to ask him about his original post about saying masking doesn't work. The whole thing was nuts. But the whole thing was nuts from the beginning. The whole thing was nuts from the moment that we could see a week into. First of all, you should never have given the government an inch. You should have never shut down. You should have never agreed to this. I told the women at the time that this is not a good idea, that this is not going to end in 2 weeks. But 3 or 4 weeks into this thing, you had definitive data that the overwhelming majority of people, if they got this thing, we're going to be completely fine, and you might be sick for a week, and yeah, it's a little bit of a nasty bug, but you're going to be fine, you'll recover, it'll be great. There was a handful of people with certain very specific comorbidities, age, risk, whatever, that should have been protected, that should have taken extra precautions, but there was such a small number of the populace, and then the militant way by which they enforced this crap, like if you're sitting at a table at a restaurant, you can take your mask off. If you're walking to a table, you must keep your mask on at all times. The whole thing was stupid.
Of course, it's been well documented about the kids' learning loss and also the social setbacks. And of course, we know that the impacts from social distancing cause depression and stress, intrusive thoughts on a lot of people. But this is just a complete betrayal of public trust at an epic scale, and it just paints Fauci as a total puppeteer, manipulating everybody with his arbitrary rules. It was all made up for an agenda that remains murky still, and it's just a reminder to everybody about the dangers of unchecked power in the hands of people who aren't acting in the public's best interest.
Okay, but let's bring it full circle. Politically, who is paid for this?
No one.
We know the government at all levels, your federal government certainly. By the way, Mike Braun voted for that COVID money. Okay, let's remind everybody, Mike Braun voted for that COVID money. And when he got asked in the debate about the COVID money, his response, well, everybody else did it too. Really? That's going to be our next governor? Everybody else did it too. Really? That's the sort of, we're just repeating the same just horrific judgment that we had in office right now, which is some guy who was finger wagging, saying he was trusting science when the reality shows there was no science behind any of it.
There was no science. He just completely made it up. And now, new data from the National Institute of Health revealing that the agency and its scientists collected $710 million in royalties during the pandemic. Payments made from large pharmaceutical companies for pushing the shot.
Nobody paid the price politically, and that's on us. And these people will do it to us again. That's the problem. When you want to talk about, so let's again, kind of bringing everything full circle here. When people say, because the talking point now, I love in this lieutenant governor's race, the talking point now is, well, the lieutenant governor doesn't fill in the blank. That's the talking point that they have now. Of all the crap that has happened in this state, all the crap that these people have pulled over the past 4 years. And now suddenly you had a governor who put 1 million people out of work, Casey. You had a governor close tens of thousands of businesses. You had a governor force you to wear masks. You had a governor try to put you in jail for not wearing a mask. And nobody spoke up then and goes, well, the governor can't. But now they're super concerned. Now the Republicans are super concerned about what an office actually does. And to you people who think it doesn't matter whether you just have someone in there who will speak up and actually give a damn about you and actually be a check and balance on the governor, look at this crap we're talking about right now. All of this was allowed to happen in large part because Suzanne Crouch, who could have helped put a stop to it, did nothing.
Nope, said nothing. Okay, so just a reminder, here's what Fauci had to say after he got cornered by Rand Paul, the one guy who seems to be trying to hold him accountable. And that's right, they don't have to report royalties.
Here's what I want to know. It's not just about you. Everybody on the vaccine committee, have any of them ever received money from the people who make vaccines? Can you tell me that? Can you tell me if anybody on the vaccine approval committees ever received any money from people who make the vaccines?
Soundbite number one. Are you going to let me answer a question? Okay, so let me give you some information. First of all, according to the regulations, people who receive royalties are not required to divulge them, even on their financial statement, according to the Bayh-Dole Act.
Okay, so there you go. $710 million in royalties. We don't have to report it. We don't have to tell you anything.
We have to take a break, Casey, because I'm going to need some time. Todd Rokita did something endearing over the weekend. And, I just hate to say anything nice about Rokita. But this is maybe the most hilarious thing I've ever seen anybody do. Plus, it appears they're going to try to ice Donald Rainwater out of the upcoming debates because, they couldn't stand the idea of any original thought. So we'll get to all of this coming up here in just a few minutes.
It's Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Life's certainties.
We'll take that. And that's all I had left.
Death and Indianapolis traffic.
Hey, hon, where are you?
Now, sitting on the northeast side, I'm never coming home.
Do less sitting.
I hate traffic.
And do more living.
A long-term ramp closure.
Matt Baird traffic.
Eastbound 465 will be down to one lane. Should reopen
mornings and afternoons.
Lane restrictions on the northeast side.
On 93 WIBC.
A healthy weight, more energy, and smooth, regular bowel movements. 3 things everyone strives for.
It's me, Chuck Norris. There's one really important thing we don't talk about enough: our health. Achy joints, digestive issues, weight gain, and fatigue. We're told these are normal signs of aging. So working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick.
Morning Kick is a revolutionary formula combining 10 different supplements in one. Probiotics that help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and several of the most powerful anti-aging supplements on earth. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, focused, and help manage stress.
Anybody can achieve great health regardless of their age.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com. Use code EASY or text EASY to 511-511 and claim 40% off today.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee.
Text EASY to 511-511. Morning Kick. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
I had changed the locks, didn't even know where she was living. And then one night she calls to say she's getting treatment. Can I drive? I almost hung up. But then I thought, that's my kid. I chose to put away the hurt and the fear and just see my girl.
Addiction is a disease. Standing by a loved one as they fight it will test your faith, patience, and sanity. But it's possible when you see the person, not just their disease. Learn more at cbeyondtheaddiction.org.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for up to half the cost. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 1, 5, and 10 gig data plans with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plans offered by T-Mobile and Verizon January 2024.
1 point, 1 swing, 1 tackle, 1 step. 1 trusted hospital system for orthopedic care. Franciscan Health's orthopedic, sports medicine, and rehabilitation teams offer state-of-the-art treatments, including total joint replacement, physical therapy, and the latest techniques and interventions for a variety of conditions, including arthritis and orthopedic sports-related injuries. keeping you in step, one step at a time. Find a full range of orthopedic care in one place. Go to franciscanhealth.org/orthocare.
Up to 50% off on all of our windows and doors, plus 12 months, no payments, no interest. It's our great granddaddy of a sale.
It's the Kendall and Casey Show with Rob Kendall and Casey Daniels.
I thought you can see that you're in love with each other.
93 WIBC.
You know how a lot of radio stations will have a prize wheel?
Yeah.
It's like, spin the wheel, you can win the prize.
Sure.
I think we need to have a politician wheel so we can spin it and say, who do you want to talk about first? The debate of governors with Mike Braun or Todd Rokita?
Well, let's talk about Rokita, because Rokita did something over the weekend or Friday or whatever it was that is probably the most hilarious thing I've ever seen a politician do. I say this in a good way, and everybody who listens to the show knows I have my issues with Rokita, but this was absolutely awesome. It's probably the most endearing thing he's ever done, and it proves he can be really funny and charming, and he should just do that more often.
I'm not sure if he did it to be funny. So what happened
He did. You know he did. He knew that they would look at that. Somebody would notice and go, hey, he Stalined him out of that photo.
So Todd Rokita posted something about Donald Trump, saying that he was pleased that Donald Trump will once again be president. And it was a picture of Todd Rokita shaking Donald Trump's hand. In the background of the original picture was Janet Holcomb and Eric Holcomb.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He recently, on May 31st, retweeted that picture out. But he cropped out Eric Holcomb out of the picture.
And he left Janet in the photo.
Photoshopped Eric Holcomb out of the picture, but left his wife. Now, many people would say that's an improvement.
Yeah, I wish we could just Photoshop Holcomb right out of society, period. And I wish we could just Photoshop the last 7.5 years he's been governor right out of. That's hilarious. What a way. What a boss move by Rokita to do that. I love everything about this. That's awesome.
I love the comment. It does improve the photo at least 100%. But here's the real question. Do you think he was doing it to be funny, or did he have to do it because he didn't have Eric Holcomb's permission? Is this any sort of campaign?
Why would he need Eric Holcomb's permission? It's a photo of him and Trump. If somebody's in the background, he doesn't need Eric Holcomb's permission.
Well, it seems like it's an endorsement picture.
No, he did that because he doesn't. We left Janet in there.
Well, he doesn't need her permission, right?
Why
She's not in office.
But he doesn't need Eric Holcomb's permission to be in the background of it. No, he did that. Let's give Rokita some credit for once. We're not going to take anything away from him. Rokita is a petty, spiteful person, and I love that he chose to be petty and spiteful to Holcomb. That's awesome.
Let's give him credit for being petty and spiteful.
Yeah, absolutely, because Holcomb deserves every single ounce of it. I love I wish Rokita and I had an even passable relationship so we could have him on to thank him. Now, he'll never come on even to be thanked, but it'll get back to him. He'll hear that was a A+ move, and I've been laughing at that all weekend, and every time I look at it, I can't stop laughing.
You got to wonder, why did he leave Janet in the photo?
To make it obvious what he was doing. Look, Rokita's a really smart guy. He knows what he's doing, and that he did that deliberately because it does make you go, well, why is Janet Holcomb in the back of this photo? Where's Eric? And then obviously they photoshopped him out. He wanted everybody to know he photoshopped him out. That's hilarious.
All right, something else that's going on in a press release that came out today is the scheduling of the debates for governor.
Oh, boy, that ought to be a real snooze fest when you've got isn't this crazy? So you've got a Democrat who pretended to be a Republican to get elected to statewide office, running against a Democrat who pretended to be a Republican to get elected to statewide office. It's Braun versus McCormick. You see the photo? It's the same photo. They're the same people.
It's the same.
Two Democrats debating each other. One of them will become the next governor of Indiana.
So the first debate's going to occur on Fox 59 on October 1st, and then there's going to be one on Wish TV, which will be held on Thursday, October 3rd. I feel like there's something missing, though.
Well, and they did this deliberately.
Someone is missing.
Well, they did this deliberately, which is CBS and Fox have this ridiculous standard to get in their debates. We saw this during the primary where they kicked Rittenhour and Hill off of the primary stage. Well, they have an even stricter policy, according to Indiana Capitol Chronicle, for the general election, which is 10%. And on top of that, you've got to report at least $100,000 in a quarter, in 1 quarter of contributions. Well, Rainwater may hit the 10%. That's really high for a third party. He got 11.5%. About 9 of that was because of me in 2020. We haven't made any endorsements yet, but there's no
the
way.
$100,000.
No, the libertarians are not out there, basically begging for getting money from donors and lobbyists and these people who want something. So there's no way he's going to probably be able to hit that. And so what you're going to have is a guy who got 11.5%, 345,000 votes is what Donald Rainwater got in 2020. And those people, who many of them will vote for him again because they know exactly what Braun is. And many of those people know that Braun is going to be no different than Holcomb, and they're not down for that. They're going to be totally iced out of the debate because Fox 59 and CBS 4 had this ridiculous 345,000 people, Casey, who voted for Donald Rainwater, and he's not good enough to be on their debate stage.
So Braun's campaign said that they would only participate in the 2 TV station debates, which
hope
means
he doesn't injure himself. Hope he doesn't tear a muscle with all that effort.
Well, I guess that means that he won't be participating on any sort of debate that we might put on. But he did say...
You funny.
There's something interesting to note on this because he said he looked forward to these 2 debates and other campaign stops where my lieutenant governor nominee, Julie McGuire, and I will discuss our freedom and opportunity agenda to improve our schools, reduce crime, lower costs of health care for Hoosiers. I'll let you go in just a second.
Yeah.
Do you notice every public statement he's making right now includes Julie McGuire?
Well, she's in trouble. Now, look, she should win. I've said this from the beginning because I know if she wins on election day, these people are going to do a victory lap. She should win. She has every inherent advantage. She has the entire state party apparatus behind her. She has the nominee for governor behind her. However, what she has going against her is she's a stooge and a tool of the establishment. She was bought and sold by the establishment. Her literal election was paid for, $500,000 in that primary, because she would be a reliable yes vote for the establishment. And she's an awful candidate. She can't speak. She can't stand on her own, which is why they've had to send her with Braun all across the state. She is now appearing everywhere with Braun because she needs Braun to save her. And I think that's a red flag to a lot of people that Braun has picked somebody that is so incapable of independent thought that now, like Daddy, he's got to go around and speak for her. There, little Julie will be a great teammate. Little Julie will do a great job at doing whatever I say. Little Julie will be just fine. I think this is going to be super interesting. If Micah gets more than 600 votes, what a total embarrassment for Braun. If Braun can't get 1,200 of these delegates to vote for him because they've wised up to what he is, what a total indictment with having every single advantage. And this is a theme now. Remember, Braun didn't show up to the one debate during the governor's thing. He doesn't want to debate. He has no ideas. What are Mike Braun's policy proposals? The floor is yours.
Yeah. He says here that he wants to improve the schools, reduce crime, and lower the cost of health care for Hoosiers. But he's not specific on how he's going to do that. Well, no mention of property taxes, no mention of gas tax, because we know he supports the raising of gas.
What we do know is that anytime Mike Braun has had to stand on his own, see his interview with Tucker Carlson and his comment about qualified immunity, see his comments about...
He misspeaks.
He puts his foot in his mouth.
Or rather, he speaks what he really thinks.
It is fascinating, though, that we have 2 Democrats who pretended to be Republicans to run for statewide office who will be on that debate stage in Jennifer McCormick and Mike Braun. That is fascinating that is now our choice is Democrat A or Democrat B on who we want the next governor to be.
I think it's also interesting to note that every time he's talking now, he's mentioning Julie McGuire. It's almost like they're getting nervous. They're getting scared about what could potentially happen.
Well, they should be, because she's incapable of standing on her own. She's incapable of free thought. She's incapable of speaking on her own. She can't do it, which is why they've sent him in there. He doesn't want to go across the state with her. Do you think Braun wants to go to, I don't know, I think he was in Martinsville the other day, to talk to 20 or 30 people? It's a colossal waste of his time, but he has to do it because she is a train wreck. If she gets across the finish line, which she should, it will be because people were just incapable of bucking the governor. And then the same people who are incapable of bucking the governor will be some of the first people who will be bitching next year when Braun does nothing different than Holcomb, because Braun is a continuation of the Holcomb administration.
And what does that say about his administration, though, if his first thing is a loss at the convention?
I think, and this is what will be fascinating. Again, Mike is going to need 901 people. He's probably, I don't know, I think he's probably at about 600 and some right now. That's a lot to get those final 200-300 people to agree to take on the governor.
Especially when they're getting pressure from the establishment not to go with Mike.
But it should be a red flag, right? If they're pressuring you, why are they pressuring you? If Julie McGuire's so great and Mike Braun has all these great ideas, then wouldn't people be rushing to vote for Mike Braun? Wouldn't people be rushing to line up and go, oh my gosh, Mike Braun's going to... But you can't answer the question.
Why the need to strong arm.
And people know, and people are wise. And look at what's going on in like Evansville tonight, where they're trying to ice out those rightfully elected delegates. Braun's a nasty person. Braun people are nasty people. And, you know, we'll see what happens. But it's pathetic, though, that they're so afraid of any sort of original thought that Fox, and this I'm talking about by day, I'm talking about Fox 59 and CBS 4, that they iced Rittenhour and Curtis Hill out of those debates during the primary, despite the fact that they met the qualifications to run. And now it looks like they're going to do everything in their power to do it to Rainwater, even though he walks in with 345,000 people who voted for him last time.
It is Kendall and Casey. It's 93 WIBC, and Hunter Biden's gun trial begins today. We're going to talk about that coming up from 93 WIBC.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash, the IndieHomebuyer.com. No inspection, no fuss, we only need to see it once, the IndieHomebuyer.com. Problem properties, tenants don't pay. Just hand us some keys and your problems go away. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash, the IndieHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash, the IndieHomebuyer.com.
No matter your reason for selling, TheIndieHomebuyer.com will pay cash for your house in any condition. If you're dealing with deadbeat tenants, big repairs, or inheritance, TheIndieHomebuyer.com is the solution. No hassle, no inspections. TheIndieHomebuyer.com.
Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash, the IndieHomebuyer.com. Get out fast, get cash, sell your home in a flash, the IndieHomebuyer.com.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
He speaks not as president, but as a dad. I'm Kurt Darling for Window Nation. Here's what's trending at 11:30. Jury selection happening today in the trial of gun charges Hunter Biden faces. Fox's Jared Halpern.
I am the president, but also a dad, President Biden says in a statement on the opening day of his son Hunter Biden's federal trial in Delaware. In a statement, the president says he won't comment on the pending federal cases, but as a dad has boundless love for his son and says Hunter's resilience in the face of adversity and strength in his recovery are inspiring. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
Rapper and singer Sean Kingston was booked into Broward County, Florida's main jail overnight. Kingston, whose real name is Kaishan Anderson, faces a long list of charges, including a more than $1 million criminal fraud scheme. I'm Kirk Darling, on the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com.
When it comes to your well, preventive maintenance is the key to reliable water. Right now, C&J is offering a comprehensive bacteria test for only $125, so you'll know if your well water is safe. But wait, there's more. For only $75 more, you can combine the bacteria test with C&J's annual 6-point inspection for only $200. Wow! If it's been a while since you've cleaned the well, you can save $500 on that too. C&J Well Company, they're local, they're exceptional, they're affordable. 317-852-WELL.
Hey guys, it's Rob from my friends at the Bath Authority. And listen to this deal going on right now with the Bath Authority. You call today, 317-532-5711 to schedule your free in-home estimate. You're going to get $1,500 off a new shower or bath. That's right. Schedule that free in-home estimate today at 317-532-5711. You're going to get $1,500 off a new shower or bath plus 36 months of interest-free financing. Now, some restrictions apply, so call today to get all the information, 317-532-5711. Oh, and when you call 317-532-5711, you're going to get free installation on your new shower or bath. That's on top of the $1,500 off and 36 months of interest-free financing. Your Bath Authority project will be low maintenance, resistant to mold and mildew, easy to clean, and last for decades. You can see everything the Bath Authority has to offer at their website, thebathauthority.com, thebathauthority.com. A better bath awaits. Tell them Rob sent you.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
50 years ago, Brown versus Board of Education outlawed segregated schools, promising the American dream to everyone. The dream of Oliver Brown was quality education for all children. But in many schools, children are being left behind. The responsibility of educating Indiana students rests on us all, from educators and administrators to parents and community leaders. Brown's dream of a quality education is the birthright of every Hoosier and a civil right guaranteed to us by the state of Indiana. If you feel your civil rights or those of your child have been neglected, or that your child has been purposely denied access to the education resources, you have options. Call the Indiana Civil Rights Commission at 1-866-FAIR-FOR-YOU. That's 1-866-332-4748. Or visit our website at in.gov/ICRC. This message is brought to you by the State of Indiana Civil Rights Commission.
Hey guys, it's Rob from my friends at Universal Windows Direct, and listen to this incredible deal going on right now at Universal Windows Direct. If you call today, 317-659-7574, 317-659-7574, for every 2 windows you buy, you're going to get the next 2 free. No limit. Buy 2, get 2. Buy 4, get 4. Buy 20, get 20. That's how it works. Plus, you get 0% financing for 36 months. That's 3 years, 0% financing. Now, some restrictions apply, so you got to call today, 317-659-7574, to get all the information. Oh, yeah, and Universal Windows Direct backs it up with a true lifetime warranty as long as you own the home, and a 20-year warranty to the next homeowner. Think that might be helpful if you're trying to sell your home down the road? Again, get all the information at 317-659-7574, or head over to uwd.com, uwd.com. Universal Windows Direct. Tell them Rob sent you.
It's the first day of the first grade, and she found a new best friend. It's a laid-back Sunday afternoon you wish would never end. The homemade taste of Bluebell and good friends gathered round. The good old days are being made right now.
Grab a frosty mug and try the newest flavor from Bluebell, A&W Root Beer Float Ice Cream. A creamy vanilla-flavored ice cream swirled together with an A&W Root Beer flavored sherbet. A new way to enjoy your favorite root beer float.
The good old days are being made right now. The good old days are being made right now.
Look for Bluebell ice cream at your local grocer and pick up your favorite flavor today.
You're listening to the Kendall and Casey Show on 93 WIBC.
How do we even get on that topic?
I don't know. You brought it up.
Did I bring it up?
Yeah, you did. You want to tell everybody?
No.
Because you want to keep your job.
Yeah, no, I just, I don't even remember. You ever do, I have these sort of conversations so often I forget how they even get, you know, what the origination.
Yeah, it was a thought that popped in your head, and you chose to express it out loud.
Casey will back me up on this. My life is like driving on, a crowded highway. There's various entrance and exit ramps, and I'm just like a delivery man. I'm basically a delivery man on a crowded highway where I have relatively short attention spans, and so I'm constantly redirecting conversations. And if you can picture it as like, okay, I'm in a delivery truck, I'm merging onto the highway, I deliver the thing that I had to deliver, that's the trip on the highway, and then I exit and then pick up the next thing.
Right.
And then I re-merge back onto the highway. That's just my life. It's just various ping-ponging of various conversations. And so I will get into conversations and I forget how I got myself into that conversation.
You were driving the bus on that
Even though it was a relatively short amount of time and it was a very short conversation, I forget how we even got into that. I don't.
It's not appropriate for broadcast.
No, I can't even ask you like how I might have gotten into that because then it would tip the so.
Yeah, I don't know what you were
probably,
thinking.
It was probably,
I don't know what's going on over there.
Probably your fault that I.
It's not my fault. You're the one who started it, and surprisingly, Kevin chimed in.
Yeah.
Which I can appreciate that.
Do you have any radio appropriate?
You want to talk? Well, I'll just give you a hint about what our off-air conversation was about. It's something that Hunter Biden probably would have appreciated. And his gun trial begins today.
Well, we were talking about fashion trends of the 80s and 90s. That's fair, right? Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And Hunter Biden is similar age to you. He was
he's actually the same age as me.
Are you guys? Boy, you are so much better preserved than him. That's amazing what crack will do to a human being.
Right, we are the same age. And when I look at him and I think, wow, the choices that we've made are so vastly different.
Yeah, and think about the opportunities that he had compared to you and how much better a position you are in life.
Right. And doesn't the fact that he's on trial just give you proof of the double standards of the Biden administration and everything that they do? They preach no one's above the law. And then their own family members seem to flout the rules without any consequences.
I was thinking about this yesterday as I was driving up to Life Church, and I was thinking on the drive up because I did the announcements. Yeah. Yes. By the way, do you want to hear what Micah did to me yesterday at church?
What?
So they give you a list of things you're supposed to announce, right? You get up and then this and that, this is going on, that's going on. It's Vacation Bible School. And they've got all this, it's like scuba themed, and they've got various characters and stuff. And you're rolling through this like 10 minutes before you're supposed to go out there. And so I'm like, how do you want me to describe this in 10 seconds or less? And he just goes, I'll just call it Ariel Under the Sea. So I get up there and I'm going through the thing and I said, our theme for Vacation Bible School this year is Ariel Under the Sea.
Yeah.
And it's like, people just look at me like I got turds hanging out of my mouth. And I thought, Disney theme for Vacation Bible School. And I get off the stage and Mike goes, I can't believe that you said the theme for Vacation Bible School is Ariel Under the Sea. And I said, you told me to say it. I said, it's like Ron Burgundy here. You put it on the prompt. He said, it's something scuba.
Scuba under the sea.
Diving into your relationship with God. And I said, why didn't you tell me to say it? So
he told you the one thing and it's stuck in your head.
I told him, I said, go back out there when you start the sermon and say, Rob said if you're mortified by that, you get what you pay for. And he did.
Because you did it for free. Right.
Anyway.
Don't hire that MC.
This is another example of the entrance and exit ramp. How do we get at Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
I was thinking on my way to church yesterday about how our society, so much of, and look, there are people who have come from nothing who are who make great things of themselves. Our nation's history is littered with these people. But I was thinking to myself of how so much of what you have the ability to accomplish in life is largely based on the life that you inherit from the people before you. And what I mean by that, Hunter Biden's a great example, which is you couldn't be a bigger screw up than Hunter Biden. You couldn't be a bigger zero, a bigger loser than Hunter Biden. And yet, because of who he is based on who his father was and is, not only has he been essentially too big to fail, he has become a millionaire just based solely on the last name that he inherited.
Right.
And this is why so many people get pissed off at the direction of this country and what the country is and some forms of capitalism. It's like because Hunter Biden has the ability to make infinite money and he shouldn't be making anything.
So I'm going to go back to the Oompa Loompas from the chocolate factory, right? Who do you blame when the kid's a brat? The mother and the father.
Yeah.
Oompa Loompa. Okay, so he's, these are these felony gun charges, a historic case. It could impact Joe Biden's reelection campaign. And it's just a glaring example of the corruption and also the nepotism that you're pointing out that plagues the Biden family. And, Joe Biden is saying, I'm just a father. He's just my son. And I'm, this is heartbreaking for me. Well, you know what? He's doing all of these things and there's never been any repercussions for it. He just keeps getting a free pass constantly. But this trial isn't just about Hunter. It's also an indictment of the entire Biden political dynasty and their sense of entitlement.
But look at how little Biden himself, let's face it, Biden is the one who matters. Hunter Biden doesn't. I mean, he was the conduit, obviously. He knew what he was doing. He did horrible stuff. But Biden is the fish in all this, right? Hunter is the bait. Biden is the fish. And yet the Republicans are so inept that Joe Biden's not going to be held accountable at all for what he did. They've got checks, they've got payments, they've got eyewitness testimony, they've got phone conversations, they've got business logs, they've got all of these things that show you what Joe Biden did. And Donald Trump gets convicted 34 times.
And they've done nothing.
No, they do nothing to Joe Biden. Nothing. And they're not going to do anything to Joe Biden. I remember when Jim Baird was running for re-election just a month ago, he was going to lean in on the fight to get Joe Biden. Amazing. He won his primary. And where is he leaning in the
all
fight?
Quiet now.
Exactly.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Okay,
Casey.
well, speaking of those charges against Donald Trump and that conviction, it's 47% say they think the charges against him were politically motivated.
Yeah, and the polling would assume, I know it's dangerous to do, but I assume the polling will start to come out relatively soon. There's
About
a 2 or 3 day lag. You got the weekend, et cetera. So you'll start to get the polling on if the needle's being moved. I think you're going to find the needle isn't really moved one way or another. What did happen is Trump raised $1 gajillion to help him try to move the needle down the road. But if half the country feels one way about something, then why would the conviction move them at all?
So ABC News did do a poll. Keep in mind it's ABC News, but they said that Trump's favorability rating was stable at 31%. It didn't move the needle at all, one way or the other.
Much lower than 31%, Casey.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Biden. It's going to come down to, do people want to be able to afford food or not? This election is about, do you want to be able to afford food? If the answer is yes, you'll vote for Trump. If the answer is no, you'll vote for Biden. If you hate Trump that much that you don't care about affording food and gas, then you will vote for Biden. Period. End of story.
So Donald Trump was pretty busy over the weekend. He was on some Sunday talk shows, and he was asked about the potential of him being forced to go to jail. And you know what he said? He said he's okay with it.
The judge could decide to say, hey, house arrest or even jail. It could face what that could be.
I'm okay with it. I saw one of my lawyers the other day on television saying, oh, no, you don't want to do that to the president. I said, you don't beg for anything. You just, the way it is.
It's just the way it is. Okay, so
chicks love bad boys, and they love martyrs.
Right. And another thing that he did over the weekend is he joined TikTok. And in less than 24 hours, he already had 1.2 million followers. Keep in mind, Biden has been on the platform for 4 months and only has 335,000 followers. So my question is now, since both Biden and Trump, both people who said they're going to ban the platform, are now on it, does that mean that TikTok is okay now?
Well,
what do we make of that?
It's the hypocrisy of all of it.
Yeah.
It's the hypocrisy of, they recognize the value in it. They recognize the ability to impact people with it. And none of these people have any sort of moral fiber whatsoever. And the reality of that is, you know what TikTok is. I know what TikTok is. You've made a different decision with TikTok than I have. And that's fine. We're both adults. We both are of sound mind and body, and we can take risks and give our information to various people if we choose. There's no reason for the government to be involved in this whatsoever.
All right, coming up next, something a little different. Jamie Gwen, she's a celebrity chef. She's going to be joining us. We're going to talk about saving money and things in the dairy aisle since June is National Dairy Month. That's on the way from 93 WIBC.
Hammer and Nigel back at it this afternoon, 3:06 p.m. Nobody has more fun in the afternoons than we do. Guy Relford will join us. It's Monday Gun Day. We've got some contests. 93 WIBC.
When you protect your corn and soy crops with Miravis Neal fungicide, you'll start seeing a lot more than just cleaner and greener fields. You'll get longer-lasting disease control, better plant health benefits, less plant stress, higher potential yield, and increased ROI potential. Ask your Syngenta retailer about Miravis Neo and start seeing more green in your fields, on your yield monitor, and in your wallet.
Always read and follow label instructions. Leave low yields in the dust and never look back. Rev up your return on investment with Syngenta. Our innovative portfolio of crop protection products outperforms and out-yields any deal, giving you higher yield and profit potential at the finish line. Syngenta, where better yield is the better deal. Always read and follow label instructions.
911, what's your emergency?
Por favor, necesito ayuda. Está volando y creo que me va a pegar otra vez.
I will get someone to speak with you. Please stay on the line.
Hola, tengo su ubicación. Ayuda está en camino.
Getting past a language barrier is critical when first responders help Hoosiers. That's why the State 911 Board provides special tools for non-English speaking citizens to communicate with emergency services.
Si estás en peligro, aunque no hables inglés, podrás recibir ayuda en una emergencia rápidamente.
All Indiana 911 centers began offering translation services in over 240 languages in 2019. Now, people can send text messages for help in their native language to 911 and receive a translated text back from the dispatcher. It's of great help to the deaf and speech impaired and to those in select dangerous situations.
Cuando llame o envíe un texto al 911, un servicio de traducción se asegurará que entiendan lo que está diciendo.
For more information, visit in911.net.
Gracias, gracias.
911. Before you text, voice is best.
Right now, you get bonus days to save during Window Nation's semi-annual sale now through June 30th. Getting quality, affordable windows is a really big deal. They've extended their sale, giving you 50% off all windows along with 0% interest for 5 years. Plus, when you schedule an estimate now, you'll get a bonus 10% off. Are your old windows ready to handle the summer heat? If you're tired of paying high utility bills for air conditioning this summer, your windows aren't efficient, and that's a big deal.
And with Window Nation's semi-annual sale, you can replace your windows and save a big deal too. Hurry, this is only for this month. Get 50% off all windows plus 0% interest for 5 years. You also get bonus savings if you schedule your appointment today. This sale ends June 30th, so time is a factor. No obligation in-home estimates with the pros at Window Nation. Schedule it right now. 866-90-NATION or go to windownation.com.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
Listen to Hammer and Nigel this week for your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the evening final session, the opening weekend of USA Swimming's Olympic Trials. More info at WIBC.com.
So, Rob, you know, we talk about food prices pretty much on the daily here on the Kendall and Casey Show.
Is there an issue with food prices?
Well, they seem to be a little higher than normal.
Oh, wow.
Actually, they're at one of the highest points in 40 years.
You simply want to stab yourself between the eyes every time you go in the grocery store.
But you know what? I thought, let's reach out to somebody who has to shop for a living.
Oh.
Because she is a celebrity chef from the Culinary Institute of America, Cordon Bleu graduate, celebrity chef. She has her own syndicated radio show. She's heard on over 100 radio stations across the country. But cooking is her passion and teaching others to cook.
What is this lady's name, Casey?
Jamie Gwen joins us on the WIBC line. And Jamie, thank you so much for being here this morning.
Hello, Rob. Hello, Casey. I'm glad to talk to you both. Thank you for the illustrious introduction. I think you're tongue-tied, Casey, because it's true. The prices have been on the rise, are on the rise, can often be sticker shock. There's no doubt.
Mm-hmm. Well, what do we do to combat this? You know, I hear a lot of different things. If you want to eat healthy, you stay on the outside of the grocery store. Stay away from processed foods. But what do we do besides clipping coupons to save money at the grocery store?
I actually do think that's very good advice to heed. So when you do stay on the exterior aisles of the grocery store, you get those things that are kept refrigerated or often perishable. And so you are eating more nutritiously on average. I think it's from a health perspective and from a pricing perspective interesting to consider that according to a recent survey by the National Frozen and Refrigerated Foods Association, the dairy aisle continues to be a favorite among consumers because it has the most diverse range of products. And whether it's your dietary needs or your personal preferences that, put you as a scout for new items that fit into the way that you live, or like you said, we're looking to be more budgetarily conscious, there are wonderful ways, I believe, in the supermarket today to still eat well and do it consciously and confidently. Now, it is June Dairy Month, and we can talk about how there are really good deals right now and great ways to stock up. But there's a bevy of products, like a lot of nutritional opportunity to eat better. You just have to know what to look for.
Okay, well, what are some of those things that we should look for? I mean, most Americans would say that milk, butter, and cheese are staples in their refrigerator. And this study saying that 61% of U.S. adults still buying dairy, non-dairy products. So what are some of those things?
Sure. So you're right. Yes, the staples are standard, right? But then there's the innovative products. There's the convenience, the easy meal prep. You can get refrigerated doughs and plant-based milk, right? And convenience items like juices and coffee creamers. What stands out for me is the international dairy products and the quality of the dairy that we get today. So, for instance, I love butter. I believe butter makes everything better. Mm-hmm. I buy European-style butter. It is considered a higher butter fat, less water content butter, right? And most chefs will tell you it's often their preference, but a little goes a long way for me. So I use European style butter because I love the flavor of it, and I use less than you would maybe a traditional butter that you grew up on or that you've always known. Then I will tell you, from an international standpoint, we see a lot more influence, like take Greek yogurt, for instance, right? Greek yogurt spans half of the dairy aisle. It's amazing to me. You can get every flavor you ever loved. You can get a protein-enriched 17 grams of protein per serving Greek yogurt. Now we're talking health and wellness. Now we're talking good, healthy, wonderful additions to your diet when you just had to look a little bit deeper into this aisle that you already knew. And then you mentioned plant-based. We have to talk about it because there are almond milk lovers out there. There are oat milk aficionados. And by the way, if you want to make the best cappuccino foam, you use oat milk. Oat milk actually gained its popularity in Europe with baristas because it made the most beautiful cappuccino. And then people caught on. It happens to be delicious in your cereal, too, but it makes the ultimate coffee beverage.
Chef Jamie Gwynn, celebrity chef Jamie Gwynn is our guest. We're teaching you how to make it through the grocery store in perhaps a more affordable fashion. I walk into the grocery store now and I say I have X amount of dollars, and I just start calculating things in my head. Is there a strategy to getting through this? Like, should we now be plotting this like it's some sort of military exercise?
Well, if you have the time to do so, I'm conscious of that, too. I mean, we know inflation and prices are on the rise. There's no doubt. But I have a 4-year-old at home. I mean, I still buy eggs, milk, and cheese, butter, etc. on every grocery trip. And I'm conscious about it. I look for the sizes that make sense for my household, but also those that are cost effective, right? I think one thing to point out is that the shelf life on products has been extended over the course, at least of, my adult life. Mm-hmm. I think that's a testament to modern technology. I think that's a testament to refrigeration and storage and the fact that we're bringing more product to grocery stores more often. So I buy the larger container of yogurt, which is more cost effective because I know that I'm going to get through it in that amount of time. There's certain things in the refrigerated aisle that I am diehard that I love no matter what. I buy the refrigerated English muffins. They're just better, but I buy them and I freeze them. Mm-hmm. So then I have them on hand, and I'm conscious of the cost, but to me, that's worth it. And I have my favorites. And then I've started using, Rob and Casey, some ingredients that you might not think would perfectly apply to culinary creations, but they do. Like you can use your coffee creamer for more than just coffee. We're going to start with dessert first because life is uncertain, if you don't mind. And Rob just did, since we have a military operation going on, maybe we should consider dessert first. I make a white chocolate raspberry bread pudding. And by the way, I develop recipes for easyhomemeals.com, and you'll find everything you need to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and very attainable recipes, right? Like very straightforward, simple to prepare, but full of fabulous flavor. Mm-hmm. There are so many beautiful coffee creamers out there that have no artificial flavors, no artificial sweetener, no preservatives, no emulsifiers. They're really good quality products. And they're made from like a Greek yogurt base. And I use that coffee creamer in this white chocolate raspberry bread pudding. I'm telling you to, it's the best thing you've ever eaten.
Jamie Gwen, where can we find?
Yeah.
Jamie, I'm wondering, where can we find some of these recipes that you're talking about?
Of course. So my breakfast grilled cheese, new recipe. My blistered cherry tomato toast, you got to taste them. I'm making muffin pan lasagna. Wait till you see it. And those bread puddings as well at easyhomemeals.com. easyhomemeals.com and on social. And by the way, there is a sweepstakes for June Dairy Month. You can win $10,000, and I am ineligible. So please, I hope you win.
I love that her life is like some sort of fantasy cook camp.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's the greatest life ever.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time, Jamie, and we appreciate you promoting June being Dairy Month and all the new and changing selections in the dairy aisle that have happened over the years.
No doubt. I thank you for having me, and I wish you a delicious month.
And that's going to do it for us today. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you for listening. This has been Kendall and Casey on 93 WIBC.
Sinus pressure, congestion, snoring, being unable to sleep, being unable to breathe. Yep, it's another sinus infection. You've Googled, watched videos, tried over-the-counter sprays, medications, and home remedies, but nothing ever works. There must be some kind of treatment that can help, right? Indianapolis Sinus Center